What you think about when you're born into a fire. Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the
What's up?
big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it
Let me stop the music. Hold on. There's that. Roll the intro. Damn it.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda.
What's up,
from
daddies?
TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank
What do you think about
for
it?
watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Where is that? Thank you guys for joining us. I'm back. I'm late. The computer was acting fucking weird. I rebooted a few different times. I don't know what was going on, but I'm here. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Let me get you some audio. I got a couple of videos I want to go over right off the bat, and then we'll move from there.
Hello, President Trump. It is I, Lucas Arnold, big fan, longtime supporter. First off, I just want to say you really showed Jimmy Kimmel. I've never liked him. I personally thought that Guillermo was the star of the show, and Kimmel was holding him back. I think he said some horrible stuff about our boy, Charlie Kirk. We love him. Rest in power. You know, I know Charlie he's up there right now, and he's debating black women in heaven, as he should. He has been twisted by the liberal media, who are...
You can tell he's faking this because they don't believe black women go to heaven.
And he's debating black women in heaven, as he should. He has been twisted by the liberal media, who are quoting him directly, distorting the truth. But the reason why I am here making this video message for you is because there's something you can do that would honor our personal friend, Charlie Kirk's memory. That is...
get us back on track towards transparency. I think the DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
I think every file should be released to the public the same way as the JFK files. Let the American people decide.
Look at him when he said that. He was so alive when he said that. Release the documents as our buddy Charlie would have loved. Hello, President.
There you go. There you go. Stand there for his honor. While we're on the Charlie Kirk thing, I don't know if I'm going to agree with any of these, but I do want to see this one. We've watched this guy's videos a couple times. Not the heavy-duty country podcast, but the guy that he's featuring, Valhalla, VFT, only when he's like exposing people and lies about stories, combat stories and shit like that. But I want to see what they're talking about, this opinion here. The title of the video is Tyler Robinson, the real shooter of Charlie Kirk. Let's see.
I've been watching back this footage of him running off the roof over and over again because everybody keeps telling. I saw Steven Crowder, he played my clip and said it was a conspiracy that I was saying that he broke the rifle down and that you could clearly see the kid leave with the rifle. And I'm a big fan of Steven Crowder, no shots fired, but I don't see it. And if you actually slow the footage down, what gets very, very odd to me is you see him flee. He's obviously got no rifle. And people can watch this back. He's got a shadow. And then he hits the zoom in point of the camera and his shadow disappears. You see him jump off.
So I know what the shadow's happening. I think the white balance on the cameras is wrong. And so it looks like it has a shadow on the darker background. But when he hits that bright white section of the roof, the shadow disappears because it can't balance that white on the ground. You'll see it if he shows it.
And what most people haven't seen is the extended footage. What we see is him pick up a little weird thing and start to run. If you extend the footage and it pans over to the street, have you seen that footage yet? Where it actually shows him like walking next to the pedestrians? Well, one thing is you can see him take his hat off his head and put it back on his head with his left hand while he's carrying his backpack in the right hand. So the idea that he had a rifle in his left hand all of a sudden makes no sense. Two, what I really started to notice that is really bugging me now is I'm watching the pedestrians as he's walking next to him. No one is fleeing. No one is panicked. Everybody's just going about their day, but yet a 30-06 gunshot just rang off from the roof 30 meters away from those kids. And this kid comes running and jumping off the roof and no one's fleeing. No one's concerned. Nobody, like you would expect all the people around that area, the pedestrians would be freaked out, would be running, doing something.
Not that quick and not that far away. I don't think it'd be that quick.
And it's just like it's just like another day at school. And so my question is the footage we're looking at him, and this is a little bit tinfoil, but I'm starting to wonder, is that footage from right after the shot?
That's a really good question.
Because nobody is acting like a giant gunshot just went off 10 seconds ago that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And there's pedestrians all over the place walking on the sidewalk. And also, if he's got this giant rifle right after 10 seconds, 15 seconds after a 30-06 shot goes off, nobody's worried that's walking. There's like a guy walking right behind him who's not upset or like, I don't know, very bizarre, right? So this is just something I noticed for the Type 1.
Well, I think also the theory of people saying that he broke the gun down.
That's ridiculous.
Like, so you shoot somebody and you're like, okay, let me break this down so I can fit this in my backpack. That gun that the FBI released, where it's, you know, still daylight and they have flashlights on it, in this box.
I think he would have broken it down in the woods, probably.
In this box, it's like, all right, so it's either an evidence box that's perfectly fit for this gun,
but they just happen to have in the cruiser at the time with them.
Yeah.
I'm not a cop, so maybe the cops out there in the comment section can tell me, do you guys just carry 30-06 evidence boxes with you in your cruisers just in case? I'm not sure. So,
but I mean, in the moment like that, clearly your adrenaline would be through the roof. First idea is I need to get out of here and escape. I don't know any situation where it's like, okay, but wait, I've got a screwdriver and some tools. I'm going to hang out on the building, take this apart, put a barrel.
I don't know why people think that the FBI doesn't have evidence boxes for long rifles. They do. You're talking about a size that most will fit through, right? Muzzle this end, evidence device. These are the boxes. You see some some pistols here too, but the long gun box is what we're talking about. Here's one closed up. Evidence, handled with care, case number. It's got all of the stuff for a chain of custody, sign off, sign out. The case number, all the relative facts. It says evidence. It shows which side the muzzle's on, so you're not flagging somebody with it if it's in an unsafe condition, or whatever it might be. I don't think the box is weird at all.
Barrel in my backpack that would still be out. I mean, it's a tiny backpack.
It's a 22-inch barrel, so that's almost a 2-foot backpack, right? So the barrel would still have been outside of that tiny little backpack.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's not a clear, it's not a small gun. So I'm gonna hang out on the building, take this apart, put a barrel in my backpack that would still be out. I mean, it's a tiny backpack.
It's a 22-inch barrel, so that's almost a 2-foot backpack, right? So the barrel would still have been outside of that tiny little backpack.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's not a clear, it's not a small gun. I mean, obviously the video of him running around is pretty grainy, but I feel like when he's running on the roof, he's got like a grayish background. So
look at his
something pretty big.
There's a shadow. Not only does his shadow disappear, his feet disappear too, and the bottom of his feet. And I think it's because whatever the white part of the roof is so bright that it can't pick. It's just overpowering everything. Watch this clip.
I feel like when he's running on the roof, it's got
shadow, and you can barely see the shadow on this gray area. But look how bright white this is. Do you guys think that roof is actually that white, or do you think the white balance is off on the camera? Right? It's not great quality. It's a security camera. The roof is probably nowhere near that white. But because this is the whitest thing, it's showing up as the fucking bright, dazzling white. And you can barely see his shadow here. So when we get a shadow, when we get over here, we're not going to see a shadow, and we're going to lose some of his shoe definition.
You would be able to see something.
Look, his entire foot disappears. Now, do you think he's wearing the whitest shoes in the world, too? Of course not. The white balance is off. It goes to where his entire shoe is now gone, because this is basically, to that camera sensor, this is glowing, right? This is like looking at the sun.
Pretty big in his hand.
And black. For one, the roof is white and the gun is black. The Mauser that the FBI showed is all black. And that if you're trying to tell me that you couldn't see a giant Mauser black butt stack, at least, let alone with the barrel, I can see his hat. If I can see his hat, I can.
But his shoes are black too, and you can't see him on the roof. You can't see his shadow. You already said that.
See a 44-inch long gun. Me personally, at least, that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I think the other stuff that's just kind of weird, at least in the beginning here, before we even get into the investigation, is they said he admitted it to his father.
Which is,
and then the father,
no longer necessarily what they're saying. They've changed the story now.
Yeah. But I think was it Bill Ackman who put out the thing where it was $1 million to whoever got it, and then apparently he gave it to the father. The father gifted it back.
A number of people have reached out and posted concern that Tyler Robinson's father may collect the $1.2 million reward for turning his son, which inspires a few thoughts. First, in order for rewards to be effective in finding criminals, the rewards need to be paid even if the recipient is a crook or worse. That said, in this case, if Tyler's father is found to have been involved or otherwise acted negligently in contributing to Charlie's death, civil litigation or criminal prosecution will reverse any unjust compensation. I have also seen reports which suggest that Tyler's family intends to waive its rights to any reward. So, yes, we will pay the reward if it is earned to whomever the FBI indicates provided the information that led to Tyler's arrest. I always keep my word.
Back to Charlie Kirk's family. But if you're, like, obviously that's not the official story now. I think now that he's not cooperating, because my mind would be if you admitted it to your dad, like, he's going to be a witness in court. So why not just admit it to law enforcement at that point?
Well, like the Utah governor came out a day or two ago and is now stating that they are not saying that the father turned it in. They're not able to say who turned him in. It was someone close to the family is apparently what they're saying now. Which is, I
heard it was between the father and a priest or a preacher or something that was close to the family.
Different than his dad turned him in. Why is, and I think that's kind of a theme that's driving everybody crazy.
This is why it's not good for the FBI and the director of the FBI and the assistant director of the FBI to act like this on social media. If they would have just said we had a suspect in custody, released his name and stats and shit, and left out all this stuff because you want to blame it on the left, you want to blame it on the right, then you don't have to fucking backtrack anything, right? Someone leaked that there were trans ideology on the fucking bullets and shit. Like, at one point, we heard it was carved into the rifle. Like, so much shit was wrong that was leaked, and now they have to backtrack it, and nobody's going to trust the story now. Oh, yeah, that's what they're saying now. But when it first came out, they were saying this.
On this is the FBI's inconsistencies. It's just, from the start, we talked about the old guy.
And Kash Patel was one of the biggest cheerleaders saying, why won't they tell us this? Oh, they're clearly hiding something from us. If they had it, they would tell us. If it's the truth, they would tell us. If they knew it, they would tell us. No. It's so you don't have this clusterfuck, you retard. Just today, Kash Patel had to correct Donald Trump. Kash Patel had to fact check the fucking president. Because Donald Trump said they sent all the FBI agents undercover into January 6th, and Kash Patel had to come back and be like, actually, those are all the agents that responded to January 6th with, the pop bombs and this truck and these people and the stuff that was going on in the Capitol. Not they were in the crowd and instigated and agitated and started it. They responded after it already happened.
But that wasn't even the last person, the suspect they had in custody. They had the old guy. They got him, and then they didn't have him. Right? Kash said, we got him. We don't got him. And then they got a guy in downtown Provo who's driving around with a pellet rifle in the back of his truck. They pull him over.
Oh, that's right.
We forget about this, right? And I know this because I'm talking to one of the Utah County sheriffs in real time as this is happening, because I saw Kash Patel puts out the message, we got him, and I sent it to him, and I said, you guys got him? And he goes, literally from the Utah County Sheriff's Department, goes, we have no idea why the FBI is saying that we have them. We have no one in custody. We have no leads. We just pulled down Salt Lake City, Utah SWAT team to help us. The only thing we know is someone in black, as the FBI is telling people, we got him. And
that's what I've been hearing, is they don't have a great case. Short of whoever turned him in, they may not have caught him.
What I find out is the second we got him was this old man, which I showed in one of my videos, who they found in downtown Provo, who had a pellet rifle sort of in the back of his truck, back of his window of his truck, because it's Provo, Utah. And they pull him over. They detain him for, 10, 15 minutes. They see it's a pellet rifle. They let him go. Somehow the FBI decides we got him again. And then they release him, and it's oh shit, just kidding. And then you get into the stuff with the dad of like, oh, the dad.
I heard they got a student as well at the rally. A student that kind of fit the description. They detained and questioned him. Thought it was him for a short period.
Turn him in. Oh, wait, we're just kidding. He didn't turn him in. And it's just like, how are we supposed to know what's real and what's not real?
This is why we don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck that the public thinks is taking too long, or that the public thinks this, or that we can tweet out that, well, he's a fucking trans for everybody leftist or what. Just don't do that. And it gives you so much more time to fucking dot every I and cross every T, and you're done.
FBI is just blatantly, I don't know if it's lying, if it's ineptitude, if it's incompetence, is it nefarious? But it ain't accurate.
It's hard to tell.
It's not accurate.
It's a game of how fast can we pin this on one of our enemies and roll out all the information so it looks like we're transparent. Really, we're rolling out shit that isn't even verified. It's got to be the most embarrassing thing for the goddamn director of the FBI to come out and say, we got him twice. And both times, it wasn't the guy.
That's all we know,
It can't be. I mean, I hate to think that it's like them purposely lying, but I think they're also not used to the technology we have today. I mean, as soon as Elon Musk bought X, we have access to so much more information now. I mean, there's really not much that doesn't get on there. I remember just finding out about the shooting. I was just scrolling through, and there the video was. I heard so many people say, like, if you haven't seen it yet, don't watch it, because that is not an easy video to watch, where he's just
absolutely
squirting blood all over the place.
But I think it was an important video for the world to see, because, you know, with guys like in my profession, the global war on terror, like, we know what that looks like, right? And it's hard to watch, but it was very important for the public to see that, because now, as the story has transpired, and people like me or you or all the other hunters and global war on terror veterans can look at that and go, sorry, like, I don't have to be an expert in ballistics to know that ain't a 30-06 round, bud. You know what I mean? So it's like your average person now is able to look at this story and go, no. So, and it's not just experts that are saying this doesn't sound right. It's the normal person. And that's, I think, a big problem for the FBI right now. And I think it's why they're backtracking. Did you talk about before?
Yeah, all these citizen investigators.
Channel, how Kash Patel now came out, I think it was last night or the night before, and is basically saying we are reopening all investigations into possibly a different shooter, into a different weapon, into basically all of the things YouTubers have stuffed down their throat. They had to then come out and say,
he's trying to get these people off his back. The people that blame it on the Jews, the people that blame it on the Bush, the people that blame it on fucking Benjamin Netanyahu and the microphone, the people that blame it on a second shooter, the people that blame it on... He's trying to get them off his fucking back. So he's like, we will go through every fucking thing and make sure, you know, it wasn't this and it wasn't that. We'll double, triple check. We're going to investigate it. Don't feel like we just got this suspect and now we're going to make all the evidence fit him. We're going to investigate everything as they normally fucking do or should do.
Okay, we're not going to get away with this narrative, so now we're going to say we're reopening the investigation. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, I think he hinted at it a couple of days ago, where he was saying we're looking into all possibilities. I haven't seen that yet, but I know Dan Bongino, who has pretty much been, silent, other than just like reposting tweets. He went on and he looked like he was about to have a heart attack.
Yep.
I mean, he looked like he was just completely fed up. I don't even know why he's a part of the FBI anymore.
And still on the same subject, we've got this guy. I showed you this guy's videos the other day. He's the one that hid the rifle, broke it down, showed the towel, showed the screwdriver, went out on security camera. It looks like he's done something with ballistics now. I'm interested.
Ever since the notion has been put forward that somehow the 30-06 bullet didn't exit Charlie Kirk's body, people have just been losing their shit. There's no way this could happen.
They're trying to say, one of the doctors went on and said that it was a Man of Steel miracle on Fox News or whatever, that there was no exit wound.
I killed more deer than chronic wasting disease, and I've never seen a bullet not exit. It should have left a basketball-sized hole out the back of it. Look what it does to ballistics gel. Look what it does to the ballistics dummies. It just goes right through him and crushes bone. Put that there. Who show do you think this is? Here's the thing. It's happened before. Yeah, there's been a high-profile assassination in this country where a high-powered 30 caliber rifle, most likely probably suspected to be a 30-06, was used to shoot a high-profile political figure, and the bullet never exited. And while there is a ton of controversy around that specific assassination, one of
oh God, is it Kennedy?
The facts remains that it is pretty much undisputed that the bullet never left the body, or didn't exit the back of the body and blow a basketball-sized hole all over the wall behind him. Now, we'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk about ballistics gelatin for a second.
But it bounced around all over the place, right?
Because this is the darling of YouTubers. Everybody who's in the gun space, who's anybody, gets a block at 10% FBI ballistics gel and then shoots it with high-speed cameras so everybody can see the temporary and permanent wound cavities and the expansion of bullets all in 20,000 frames per second video. And that's great. It's a cool thing, but there's some limitations on that gel. There's actually two types of ballistics gel in the world. There's 10% FBI and there's 20% NATO. And it's really important that you understand the difference and the limitations of this medium before you start drawing all of your assumptions and conclusions based upon it. First, 10% ballistics gel was developed in response to the 1986 FBI shootout, where the FBI and their weak service revolvers found themselves outgunned by some suspects, one of which had a high-powered rifle. I believe it was a mini.
That's yeah, where they're using the minis and they're using armor and shit. That's when the FBI started doing they do like 7 layers of denim and then a ballistics gel test. And they want penetration, they want expansion, but they don't want over penetration. They don't want it to go out the back either, and potentially wound
5.6
innocent people.
/223 Remington. They developed this gel as a medium so they could test the penetration and expansion of handgun bullets so that they could find the optimal round. It does not take into account things like bone structure or anything else. It was just calibrated to be the same consistency as human soft tissue, so you could see how a certain bullet would travel through, how much expansion and weight retention that bullet had, and how deep it would go into a person. They wanted to get somewhere between, I believe, 12 and 18 inches of penetration to be suitable, and a certain rate of expansion and bullet retention. That's all that's designed for. People shooting it with rifle bullets and everything else, that's really not what that test was designed to do. Second, there is a 20% grade. It's a more gelatin to water mixture when you build it, and NATO came up with that to test to make sure their bullets didn't expand or break in the body so that they didn't violate the Geneva Conventions and nobody brought them up on war crimes charges. That's it. That's the only reason that exists. And again, they made it a little harder so that they could count for things like uniforms, density, equipment, maybe a little bit of bone, but that's what
I think for the FBI tests, maybe it's just 2 layers of heavy denim. They like know the weight of the denim, and then they put 2 layers to simulate like outer clothing and shit like that.
that exists for. It is a steady, constant, calibrated medium by which to test bullets for certain properties. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? Ballistics gelatin, ballistics dummies. Okay, what about the dummies and it goes through their bones? Well, I'll link you a survey conducted in, I believe, 2016 or 2017 by the National Institutes of Health, where they were looking for a suitable supplement or a suitable alternative for human cadaver bone to test the frangibility qualities of 5.56 and 7.62 by 51 NATO, otherwise known as 308. More on the 308 later. Their study took into account 2 synthetic bones that are made for training orthopedic surgeons on. It's a company called Sinbone out of Switzerland and another company here in the United States called Sawbones. And what they found was that these 2 sets of synthetic bones do not replicate accurately the properties of bone striking human cadaver bone. They wanted to find a way to get more bones so they could test more bullets without having to have more already dead bodies. Simple as that. And what they concluded was there's no replacement for the real thing. Now, they do use pig thoracic vertebrae in some of these tests to kind of tune stuff before they end up shooting cadavers, so they don't have to shoot through all their cadaver bones. Pig thoracic vertebrae is what is generally accepted as the closest analog to human bone and human bone density. So let's get back to that it already happened thing. Some of you may already know this, but here you go. Martin Luther King was shot with a .30 caliber high power rifle at a range of about 200 feet, half the distance of what we're talking about with Charlie Kirk. Now there's some skepticism, myself included, behind whose rifle it was and who pulled the trigger, but there are some generally accepted parts of that narrative, and one of them is that the bullet never exited Dr. King's body. We already do have an autopsy. We have sketches, we have x-rays we can access through the National Archives to confirm this. You can see x-ray photos of bone fragment and bullet fragment in Dr. King's body. Some people have questioned the legitimacy of the autopsy, and I'll address that right now. You see, people think that this guy named Dr.
It would have to hit some type of bone, right? I don't think flesh is stopping it at all. It had to hit some type of bone and be, if they'd have done a fucking, so apparently people are now confirming that there was no autopsy done. That the doctor at the hospital said he's dead from a gunshot wound. And there was no type of autopsy. I don't even know if we know where all the bullet traveled, if they got images of the bullet still in him. I don't know.
Michael Batten performed the autopsies of MLK, JFK, Epstein, everybody and anybody who's ever been killed and had a conspiracy around them, and that's simply not true. What Dr. Biden is he's an expert that's brought in to consult with panels, commissions, commentary on TV. He's more of a talking head. He did not perform the initial autopsy on Dr. Martin Luther King. This man did. Dr. Jerry T. Francisco, he was at the time the Shelby County, Tennessee medical examiner. Dr. Francisco did this autopsy. All the sketches and the x-rays that you see are his. And there are some criticisms of his autopsy method, but I don't think that they're really relevant, but we'll talk about them right now, just get them out of the way. In Dr. Francisco's autopsy, there were some questions about the bullet path and the dissection. He didn't really dissect in to dig around and find every little path that went on, and he said in his testimony, his affidavit, that he didn't do that because he didn't want to disfigure Dr. King's body anymore. He was already dead. He was able to recover the fragments of the .30 caliber bullet, and there wasn't any more purpose for him to want to dig deeper to really trace bullet paths, intersections where stuff bounced around. Now, the standard narrative is that Dr. King stepped out on that balcony, he was getting ready to address some followers down below him, and a shot came from a second-story window of a rental house, or like a boarding house, basically across the street. It struck him somewhere about here, went through his jawbone.
Do we all know the CIA did it, right? Or what? What do we think, chat?
Then down into his neck, through his spine and his thoracic vertebrae, and the remainders and fragments were found back behind his shoulder bone. This was confirmed by the now controversial HSCA panel, and some people think that the re-entry path is odd and that the autopsy documentation was not conclusive for every internal intersection, which kind of goes back to Dr. Francisco's point. Whether you believe Dr. Francisco or not, I don't know. He just didn't collect that data, and people tried to interpret different things based upon that. Basically, it entered here in the jaw, exited the jaw, came back into the neck, went back out into the spine, and that's where into the shoulder, and that's where the fragments were found. What's less controversial is the actual bullet that was used. It was a .30 caliber Remington Peters soft point metal jacketed bullet, jacketed soft point bullet. This bullet is still produced inside of Remington's line of Corlock. It's a very well-known, very well-used hunting bullet. It's definitely a flood bullet, so I would definitely think the granddad may have put that in his rifle and found it worked for him. He kept using it year after year after year because it worked with his rifle and it worked on dropping deer. And if our shooter received that rifle, like we are told that he did, he probably just continued to use granddad's ammo, which would match up kind of here. Possibly there's some overlap potential. Okay, now the controversy there is more about the fragments matching the rifling of the alleged murder weapon that James Earl Ray was alleged to have used. They were inconclusive. So that is part of what sparks that controversy and fuels that controversy when it comes to the assassination of Dr. King. And because of that wound tracking, there has been some controversy about exactly where the shot came from, but most skeptics, most people that are questioning the narrative of Dr. King don't really question that that shot came from this place with a high velocity, high power .30 caliber round, struck him here and killed him. There's no conspiracy around a second shot, a second shooter, a guy with a handgun sitting next to him, detonating microphone clipped to him. Most everybody agrees Dr. King was shot with a high power .30 caliber
detonating microphone.
It was one shot and the bullet never exited his body. Now, if you want to say that maybe it was a different .30 caliber, well, a 308 or 7.62 by 51 NATO can and is commonly loaded with the exact same projectiles as a 30-06, but at those ranges, the terminal ballistics of those two rounds are going to be very, very similar. So similar that you probably cannot tell the difference. 308 or 7.62 NATO is just a shortened 30-06 cartridge that they used the technologies that had been developed in firearms since the 30-06 was invented to ramp up what was possible inside that shorter case and get it closer to matching 30-06. They wanted a shorter case because it cycles faster in automatic and machine guns. It also has a little less recoil, it's a little bit more manageable. Okay, those things being addressed, we can see that there's really no controversy about a man getting hit by a high power 30 caliber rifle and the bullet not exiting his body. It fragmented somewhere in Dr. King, and if you are to believe what is now in the non-official narrative, let's take that a step further too. You see, in Charlie Kirk's case, we do have all of our video footage that we've all seen, and we have some secondary sources telling us that the bullet didn't exit. We don't have a definitive official narrative from the FBI, state, and local government. We just have what two people have relayed that I know of from conversations they had with the supposed surgeon who was attending Charlie Kirk. One of those people is a member of TV USA who has said that the doctor told him it was a miracle the bullet didn't pass through and strike another person. Now, you can infer what you want about that. We can just take this at face value and say, okay, that's...
I mean, it's not a miracle if it hit bone, and I wish somebody would just fucking tell us that. Like, you know, it hit part of his vertebrae and was deflected downward because it's already coming in at a downward angle. If it hits some type of bone like this, it's going to be deflected downward.
But there are some questions I have as to the use of miracle and some other things in, or the fact that it was a two-person.
That almost sounds like when you start saying miracle, man of steel shit, and then people run to the media with that. That almost sounds like it's a fucking sales pitch, right? God protected everybody but Charlie Kirk for some reason.
Conversation, telephone, punctuation, high stress, all these things can contribute to information getting perceived and reported differently than what was said. Okay, so but for what we're saying right here, let's just assume that. Okay, the second person I know of is a guy I didn't think would say something that would corroborate the narrative, and that was Alex Jones. Alex Jones said that he had a conversation with the attending physician. The physician told him that the round took a glance off of his collarbone here, his clavicle, went into the neck, struck the spine, spiraled down, mushroomed out, fragmented.
Oh, wait a second.
The physician told him that the round took a glance off of his collarbone here, his clavicle, went into the neck, struck the spine, spiraled down, mushroomed out, fragmented, blew everything out.
Collarbone, then into neck. Is that what he just said? I mean, it's coming from Alex Jones, so who the fuck knows?
That the round took
that makes more sense.
Collarbone here, his clavicle, went into the neck, struck the spine, spiraled down, mushroomed out, fragmented, blew everything out on its way down. I'll tell you what I've observed just from the videos that I've seen. The neck wound doesn't appear to be regular. It does not appear to me to be a hole punched by a .30 caliber bullet straight on.
No, it looks, that's why I thought it was a fragment. It almost looks like the round hit, like if this is the round, like just my finger, and this is the neck, it doesn't look like a hole puncher, right? And bullet wounds, before the blood starts gushing, looks like a hole punch, right? There's a reason they call him a wireless hole puncher, right? It looks like it landed side, like it tumbled already, or it hit something, or it looks like it landed almost sideways. We get like a slash that opens, not a hole, a slash. But the quality shitty, all that stuff.
It doesn't have the round signature. It's bigger. It almost looks like a slash of some sort. If you want to go back and review those videos and find some unedited copies, especially from frontal angles, you can see, we've all seen the shirt, and the shirt causes controversy because people think that a strike here would not cause the vortice effect that we've seen on the shirt, and I think that they could be right. If you watch some of the videos right before Charlie falls over, you will see both the stream of blood from the neck, you will also see a hole and blood spilling out from somewhere in this area right here. I believe this is probably your primary impact point. Based on what all these other guys are telling me, or what all these other people are saying, I believe that the bullet probably impacted the clavicle, either did like
that makes more sense.
Hit the neck, hit the spine, went down, or it impacted the clavicle, went straight through, because we have seen photos, a video of the back of the shirt moving too. And what we see here is bone fragments and everything else blowing out. I can neither confirm nor deny any of that, but we're going to go forward with the assumption that Kirk was hit, either hit on the clavicle and we had a fragment or a bounce or a yaw effect into the neck, or there was a strike here and everything else blew out the neck. How could this happen in certain cases with a human being but not with an animal? Well, there's some difference between bipedal hominids and quadruped game animals and the angles at which shots are taken that can explain a lot of this. And for that, I need to go find a prop for an analog, so just give me 1 second. Get over here. Okay. Here's our stand-in for a quadruped game animal. It is a multi-poo jackalope, and if you're wondering why I dress my girlfriend's dog up like a gender-confused 8-point buck, well, it's just easier. All right, I'm gonna get these off of him because he doesn't like that, but when hunters take shots at game animals, they're usually taking it at a broadside, and there are some distinct differences in how game animals are built that contribute to that pass-through. You see, their load-bearing structure is all in their forelegs and their hind legs, and their spine just works as kind of a connection to keep everything suspended down here and together here to here. And when a game hunter takes a shot at an animal, he's aiming for vitals that are usually behind the shoulder blade. The ribs that are in here are bone, but ribs are more flexible. They're just there to keep everything cased in and supported and protected from accidental bumps and everything else. So when you take a shot on a game animal, you're usually taking it at a broadside at level, and you're aiming for vitals in here, and the round easily passes through these bones with no problem and blows everything out the other side. That's just how you do it. You're also, even if you're going to take a frontal shot, you're going to be shooting into the front here and coming in into vitals, and it may bounce around and blow out on the sides. Big heavy game like moose or bear or something, if you take a shoulder shot, you do end up having instances where you don't have pass through, or you have a redirection and it comes back out on the other side over here. But never are you ever intentionally targeting the spinal area. And you don't ever really take headshots. It's not ethical to shoot an animal from the head, because if you miss the kill zone, you end up blowing his jaw out, he goes and starves to death. Same thing with really neck shots. But if you do take a neck shot, you end up having a really big blowout because the neck is so much thinner and it's just basically muscle and the spine. And if you were to hit the spine in these shots,
wait, but now you're...
it's a direct shot on the spine, and all that energy is shot right into the spine with no real...
He should have left that out. He should have never said, well, if you do take a neck shot, because now people are going to be like, well, he was shot in the neck. Why don't we have this big giant blowout like you're saying?
Backing behind it or in front of it to induce yaw or fragmentation or slow a bullet down. Also, when you're taking hunting shots, generally speaking, you're hitting them straight on. You're not coming in at angles or any other thing else, because you want to try to preserve as much meat as you can, and this is the easiest way to kill a game animal without blowing out all the vital meat and all these big muscle groups. So that is why you can...
A lot of times you want this backwards angle. like to get behind the shoulder blade without hitting the shoulder blade?
Be the most successful hunter in the world and have killed 100 deer in your life, and 100 out of 100 you've always seen it pass through because you're a good shot and you're aiming in the right places that put the animal down and don't ever really intersect with any of the hard, dense bone structures in the body. Human beings are different, and I'll get this guy back to his mom and explain for you here in a minute. Now, most big rifle shots, and in these cases with Dr. King and with Charlie Kirk, both, the shot has come from some sort of frontal angle and at an elevation, and our anatomy is direct.
In Red Dead Redemption, I'm getting pretty good at hunting, just so everybody knows. I'm basically an expert now. And I was a Girl Scout once.
To play into that, I believe. You see, we have ribs, which are just as flexible as animals, but we also have things like load-bearing clavicles, so we can pick things up, and we also have dense shoulder blades behind us. And in between that all is our spinal column. And our spinal column is unique because our spinal column is in and of itself a stack of very dense, thick bone formulated to do two things. There's your neck. One, to carry and support the load of your body and anything else you might be carrying that's suspended to it. It's the central vertical column of our body, and then it connects down here at the pelvis to our femur and everything else, which is also heavy, dense, load-bearing bone. That's how we're built. The other thing about spines is that they are the central conduit for our electrical system. They are where all of our nervous system pathways connect and route back up to the brain. So
yeah, it's all bundled up in there.
Twofold, they are super strong for a reason. One is to handle that load and compression. Two is to protect that central nervous system from any kind of impact and severing the spine. In an animal, they're here, they're kind of designed to suspend a load hanging from them, keep them from falling apart, and to protect that central column. But in the way that the animal is built, everything's hanging down here. You're never hitting it square on in front like this. You're always hitting it from the side, aiming at You're always hitting it at the side, aiming at all the vitals that are hanging down from it. So you're a good shot, you killed a lot of deer, you've never probably hit the spine, and you've never also probably hit the spine in combination with other load-bearing bones. That's what makes human beings different. We have the clavicles out here, we have the shoulder blades in the back. In both instances, the shot was taken at a higher angle of elevation from the front, and appears in the case of Charlie Kirk, and most certainly in the case of Dr. Martin Luther King, it hit a large, strong bone before it entered in and then struck the spine. In the case of Dr. King, it came in through the jaw, went in, hit the thoracic vertebrae down here, and either just exploded into fragmentation or split, bounced around, and ended up lodged back behind the shoulder blades. In the case of Charlie Kirk, I think that it most likely hit the clavicle and either bounced up into the spine and then tumbled back down, or it went straight in.
I don't know that we're getting that. Like, down onto the clavicle, up. So that makes sense, like a ricochet angle, right? Back into the spine, and then back down. If anything, I would think that it would go down to the clavicle, back up to the spine, left, right, or up, because it's already got this angle on it. Seems weird that it would come from a downward angle, do the ricochet thing, and then go back the same way it just came. Whatever.
Clavicle started to immediately fragment or lose energy or yaw, hit the spine again, and then
Both.
stayed somewhere in his body with that energy dump. We don't have conclusive proof that he was hitting the spine, but by all accounts, by experts, this motion here is
Scout's honor.
Spinal injury. So, and it corroborates what is being said by the secondary sources, that the bullet struck, hit the spine, paralyzed him, killed him instantly, blew everything out inside of him. And because we have all of this skin around our body, if the thing's not going to come straight back out, it will contain some of that shockwave. We just have so much more mass. So that's why I believe that there is a likelihood of a round from a very, very powerful game hunting rifle not being able to blow its way through the human body, just because simply we're built differently and we're taking shots.
I played Red Dead Online for the first time earlier today.
At different angles. Okay, so having seen and observed all that, I'm going to leave you with my hypothesis and what I'm going to do as a testing method going forward to try to see if we can get a bullet to fragment in similar ways what we have documented well in Dr. Martin Luther King and what we believe based on video evidence and unofficial secondary sources may have happened to Charlie Kirk. Here's my hypothesis, and I've written it down so I can speak to it clearly. When bullets impact high density or load-bearing bones, it can induce yaw or fragment. If it then strikes the spine or other bones such as a shoulder blade, the impact may dissipate enough energy to prevent an exit, even for high-powered and high-velocity rounds such as 30-06. This phenomenon is more likely in humans due to the alignment of bones in the vertical thorax. Simple as that. That's the hypothesis. That's what we're going to test going forward. Now, to do that, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing up blocks of gelatin with the similar and bone intensity that I
sweet.
to a human spinal column plus clavicle and shoulder blade. I have put some requests out to local butchers to try to start sourcing bones, specifically pork, thoracic vertebrae, and shoulders. If you are a hunter somewhere within 100 or 200 miles of the Phoenix area and you just shot a big game animal and you want to donate the spine or the shoulder blade for some research, I'd love to have it. Send me an email. My email's in the description below. I can see if I can swing on over and pick up what you got. So keep following along. That's where we're going with that. In the meantime, I do have some content that I want to put out that's more speaking to just some of the knowledge-based stuff that I have.
Dude. I thought I was losing my goddamn mind the other day. I downloaded some mods. I love the story mode. I just played it for the first time, like a couple months ago, but I've already played through it twice. Like, the story mode's so good. Love the story mode, love the story, love everything of RDR2. I played a little bit of Red Dead 1, but that was years and years ago, and I played it for like 5 minutes. But this is really all I've played. So I downloaded a mod in my second playthrough, and the only mod, I didn't want to cheat or anything. I just wanted a hunting wagon, like you have when you're online playing. So I downloaded a mod to get a hunting wagon just so you can typically you can only put one big animal on the back of your horse. And if you have 2 horses, you can do 2, but that's about it. With a hunting wagon, you can throw tons of shit. Well, I had like 4 carcasses and like fucking 8 pelts in that bitch. And I guess it was breaking the wagon because whenever it would drive, it would just shake like hell, and the whole screen was shaking. And I would have to like look away, and I was trying to drive the wagon and like look away, and I'm like, I don't want to lose any shit because I got a bunch of it to complete some challenges for like making a better satchel. And it was just like shaking like hell and shaking like hell, and I kept having to look away or whatever. I finally got that son of a bitch back, and I had a headache, and I felt like my eyes were still vibrating. And it fucked up something in my balance because I finally got it back to the camp. I didn't even unload it. I just got it back to the camp and hit escape to like pause the game. And I got up to step away and couldn't fucking balance. I was staring at the screen for like an hour, the way it was shaking, and like trying not to look at it and looking out of the corner of my eye and trying to fucking drive the wagon. And when I went to stand up, I guess just my brain got used to it. So when I went to stand up, I was like fucking falling over, like someone had spun me around. Like it was fucking insane.
About heirloom rifles and how they play a part in this, especially with the narrative with the text messages and the granddad's rifle thing. Look at that one coming out. And if you got anything else you want to see that I can do in a studio setting here just to speak about, leave a question in the comments below. Till then, have a great day.
What was that? Hold on. What was that recommended video? Kirk Assassin first shot test, 200 yards, zero shift, field assembled. Who did this one?
Someone with no military marksmanship training.
Oh, it's him again.
Make a 200-yard shot.
Damn, he's really cashing in on this right here, dude.
Man-sized target in the chest, and could he have done it after having disassembled the weapon and reassembled it? I'm gonna go ahead and recap today for you in case you missed some of my videos. Now, in my series of videos, I have.
It's not that big a deal reassembling the action and the barrel and shit, especially with a well-made rifle. Most of the action is going to reassemble the same. The big deal is the scope. If you took the scope off, they do have. I personally bought some when I was in the Army. They do have return to zero mounts. So basically, it's a mount that allows you to take off your scope in such a way that when you put it back on there, it's supposed to keep your zero. Most scope mounts are not that. Like the cheap ones, the average ones, the people like return to zero mounts haven't even been out that long. Well, I guess I was in the military. You know, it's probably around 2010 or something that I bought return to zero mounts for an ACOG. But most people don't have those, right? Because they don't need to be taking off their scope at all times and doing this, doing that. If you take the scope off and put it back on, there's a really, really, really good chance. Even in the way you tighten down a scope can change. Like, let's say your scope becomes the slightest bit loose and you happen to notice because you didn't use Loctite or whatever. Just tighten it down can tweak it off and throw off your zero.
Shown us taking my Mauser 98 apart, stuffing it in my clothes and walking around, stuffing it in my assistant's clothes and walking around. We concluded that probably the rifle was carried vertically on the front, the stock portion of the rifle, and the barrel and the...
I do think he probably figured that part out. I think that's a good representation. I think the shuffling matches the videos we've seen. I think he's probably figured this part out.
Receiver action were carried on the left side. I've also taken the time to show you how the surveillance video that you've seen...
But I do not think it would be incredibly lucky. The scope come off. It was put back on. Tightened down in such a way where the zero didn't move, put back on in such a way where the zero didn't move, and then under that pressure, feeling anxious, worried about fucking getting killed, looking for security, checking over your shoulder, make sure somebody's not fucking behind you or someone's recording you and trying to take the shot, he still made it. Like that seems wild to me.
He is not proof that the rifle wasn't there. And to me, the results were that it was both plausible or probable that this is how it unfolded based on what I was able to observe with my testing. Today, we're going to get to the real linchpin of this theory. Could someone...
I think that was probably his greatest contribution to this argument. It does not look like he has a firearm in this security cam footage. But he doesn't technically have a firearm. He's got a tripod, which is actually a little bit fatter on one end. But he set it to the exact same length as a rifle. And it does not look like he has a rifle there. It looks a lot like the rooftop footage that we've been seeing.
Vertically on the front, the stock portion of the rifle and the barrel and the scope and receiver action were carried on the left side.
I've been sending people to that video and saying, look, it doesn't look like he has a rifle either.
I've also taken the time to show you how the surveillance video that you've seen is not proof that the rifle wasn't there. And to me, the results were that it was both plausible or probable that this is how it unfolded based on what I was able to observe with my testing. Today, we're going to get...
Especially when he drops it down beside his leg right there.
The results were that it was both...
Like, we do see some flopping and some flagging almost looking. We can't tell. A lot of people thought it was his jacket. He had a jacket in his hand because it was flopping around. But when he drops it by his leg right here...
Probable that this is how it unfolded based on what I was able to observe with my testing.
That bitch is gone, dude. That's the exact same thing we see in the security cam footage. He's the same distance away. It's another shitty security camera, or average security camera. They're all shitty.
Today, we're going to get to the real linchpin of this theory. Could someone with no military marksmanship training make a 200 shot, strike a man-sized target in the chest, and
that's the first thing you probably thought about is everybody knows where I'm at right now.
Could he have done it after having disassembled the weapon and reassembled it? That would, many people think, throw the zero off of the rifle. This whole narrative to me hinges on this part of the study. So what I'm going to do is I have set up cameras to monitor a steel plate 200 yards downrange. I do think that the shot was more like 135 yards, but the narrative's been 200, so we're going to prove that today. I've taken my new rifle, zeroed it in at 100 yards at the range. If I can disassemble and reassemble this rifle, strike steel down there, then that means this shot was possible. And because this isn't a fluke, we're going to take multiple shots at it, okay? We're going to discount the theory that he just got lucky and see what we get. Now, as far as a rifle goes, my Mauser 98 is not a 30-06, and it has some serious issues. It's been in the shop. I went and sourced the 30-06 after consulting several gunsmiths, and they told me pretty much any bolt-action rifle will disassemble in the same manner as a Mauser 98. So I have here a Franchi Momentum. It is a bolt-action rifle chambered in it is a bolt-action rifle chambered in 30-06. This one has a walnut stock. The one we've seen has synthetic. For our intents and purposes, synthetic walnut may be harder to get back and forth. It disassembles in the same manner with 2 screws at the bottom. This rifle is different. It does contain a detachable magazine. However, the magazine well and trigger group will come apart exactly like the Mauser does, and the action and barrel should fall away. Now, for those people who are questioning it, this rifle is free-floated. What's that mean? It means nowhere in the point of the barrel or the chamber does the stock make contact with the barrel. This is done to aid in accuracy. This could have been done to the Mauser. It might not have been. We don't know. We don't have enough information on that Mauser. Why would you want a free-floated barrel? For those that are not initiated, when you take a shot with a rifle, as the bullet travels down the barrel has oscillations in it. If you ever look at an artillery piece, a tank cannon, a battleship gun, there's no forward portion of stock or support on a barrel. They are inherently free-floated. The thing is, we have to adapt a rifle to the human body. So in doing so, we develop stock to the forend, keep us from getting our hands burnt when the barrel gets hot, to give us something to support it on when we set it down to make a shot. We also have a stock so we can control our accuracy with multiple points of contact to our body. We also have the stock so that it absorbs the force of recoil. Without that, it would be impossible to control the rifle. So a stock is merely a user interface for a gun. Now, some people have questioned whether this rifle was what's called bedded. You see, before free-floating became a thing, people understood that
we used to bed.
Touching of a barrel,
that's what I was fixing to say.
Accuracy often make it inconsistent. In the old days, stocks were just pressed up against here. You might have a clamp right here holding it to it. They made a solid point. Some stocks, like the one on my Mauser, has a contact point underneath.
When you so free floated means it's not touching up there on the front of the stock, and then bedding, you basically create a type of joint between the stock and the barrel that is, it's like a stress relieving medium that joins those two together. I don't know how he's going to explain it, but you can bed. There's a bunch of different bedding compounds that you can use to bed a rifle barrel.
That creates one contact point here, keeps the rest of the stock from touching. It creates a constant deviation in the oscillation that you can account for. Once upon a time, people started bedding stocks, and what bedding stocks means is you simply take the stock, you introduce some sort of a medium like a molding agent, and you set the barrel action down into it, and it creates a constant pressure path along that stock, so it gives you a constant oscillation deviation. Some people question whether a bedded stock
and a bedded stock takes out any torque that's applied from like screws in the action, right? Because it's always landing in the same spot. It doesn't matter if you tighten a little bit more, tighten a little bit less. It's still holding on to that same medium there.
Can be pulled apart and put back down, and I think there is an answer to that, and yes, it can be, and it can still retain the same amount of accuracy. See, a proper gunsmith who would bed a rifle with some sort of bedding agent would also put a release agent on the metallic parts here, kind of like Crisco on your cookie sheet or Pam in your frying pan.
I think the ice shooter was probably just an idiot. He shot into an unmarked van thinking that there'd be agents in it, but you have to know that there's fucking immigrants in it as well, or probably. At least there's a chance.
Which allows the barrel in action to be removed. Because to get in and service a trigger group, a gunsmith is going to have to break this gun apart anyway. So why would you want allows the barrel in action to be removed? Because to get in...
After the bedding agent has originally cured overnight after initial application.
Agent on the metallic parts here, kind of like Crisco on your cookie sheet or Pam in your frying pan, which allows the barrel in action to be removed. Because to get in and service a trigger group, a gunsmith is going to have to break this gun apart anyway. So why would you want to have it glued with like an adhesive to where you're damaging bits and you're making it inconsistent when you take it apart? So if it's properly bedded, it still shouldn't have the same effect on zero. It'll be a little tighter fit going in, but you're still not going to have the effects on zero that I believe people have countered this argument with. So we're just going to get into it. I'm going to disassemble this rifle in front of you. This is the first time I've ever taken this rifle apart. This rifle is different from my rifle in that it requires an Allen wrench on these heads of these bolts out here. So we'll take it apart. I'll reassemble it. I'll set it down in your view. I'm going to walk back here and activate a long-range camera I have zooming in on the plate. I also have a camera downrange looking directly at the plate. I'll biff these pieces in inside of a side view here so you can see once they go live. All right, so I'm ready to conduct my test. I've been to the range. I've zeroed my rifle. We're shooting a Barnes Harvest Collection 180 grain 30-06 bullet with the Sierra Game King bullet in it. I found that this thing is pretty spot on with it. So I'm going to sit down and walk through this. If you want to skip,
I mean, I wonder what caliber his Mauser's in. Why didn't he just use that?
I'll give you the chapter mark. If you want a bit of a philosophy lesson and the reason why I'm doing all this, stick around. So you see, people have asked, who am I? Why am I doing this? Why do I care? And it's really simple. I want to test. I want to know if I'm actually being lied to. And the only way to do that is to test the narrative. You see, Charlie Kirk was a man who tested people's narratives and their beliefs using what we have in this country, which is the right to free speech, the right to open discourse. Charlie tested those narratives that people hold and their values that they hold all the time. And like many philosophers before him, he met an untimely death because people just didn't like what they were saying. And
philosophers.
In Charlie Kirk's death, and in people who are, I should take the bolt out first. You can see this is the first time I've ever done this. He may have carried it with the bolt in. I don't know. Anyway, people are testing that narrative. So
he could have left the bolt. The bolt isn't going to add any length to it.
People. Lost my bolts. All right, so you can see I have the trigger group, magazine, the trigger guard, magazine, well, which on this rifle is plastic. That's interesting. I got a bolt, I got a barrel, I got a stock. So, going back to it, there's an explanation for it, and there's a parallel to the people that may have killed Charlie Kirk because they didn't like what he's saying to the people now who are running down conspiracy theories. And I'll explain. You see, there's a thing called bedrock propositions. There was a great philosopher in the mid-20th century by the name of Ludwig Wittgenstein. Wittgenstein was both British and Austrian, and he spent a lot of his early career discussing how language affects the way we see the world, and his later career in the book called Uncertainty, he came up with this notion of bedrock propositions. And what are bedrock propositions, you ask? Well, bedrock propositions are simply the foundations of each and every one of our worldviews. And they're things that we're so certain of, we never really question. We never really seek to know, like, does the world exist? Well, yeah, it exists. I'm living in it, but can I prove that? It's not that easy to prove. Bedrock propositions are things that are so bedrock and fundamental to us that we don't always have a way to prove them to others. Whether that's your faith, your politics, your thoughts on anything, really. They're fundamental and they're bedrock. And when they're challenged, you don't always look to flesh out what's challenging them. Human beings in their nature.
I think the problem is they're not inherently bedrock propositions. People are making them bedrock foundational propositions, right? When you should be questioning them all. Your politics, your religion, you should be questioning that shit all the time.
Just seem to want to look for other explanations that align with their worldview without first challenging those bedrock propositions that other people are questioning or other people have or other people hold. Charlie Kirk went on college campuses and he challenged people's liberal bedrock propositions of their worldview. And he did it through discourse, through facts, through figures, but he welcomed other people to challenge his. And like so many philosophers before him, he met an untimely end. You think of Socrates, challenged the notions of ancient Greece, and he was fed a cup of hemlock for his actions. You had Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ challenged the status quo of his time, and he was given nails. And now Charlie Kirk challenged the status quo and the bedrock beliefs of other people, and he was fed a bullet. What's happening now, though, is so many other people are out looking for things that align with their bedrock proposition without first challenging what they're being told and putting it to the test. I'm a skeptic, too. I don't believe that our government is a fair and honest actor. I am, just like everyone else, infuriated as things like the Epstein files have been handled. But I'm not going to let that stand in the way of testing what is being told because, I mean, a broken clock strike twice a day. There's a possibility that what we're being told could be possible, plausible, and both probable. So we're going to test that because that's what Charlie Kirk would have done. And to just run off willy-nilly looking for things...
Good God, I don't want to hear your politics, bro.
It's currently empty. Go ahead.
Shoot the goddamn rifle.
We'll look at this thing and see what happens. I'm going to turn this camera on up here.
Rumble changed the app icon in honor of Charlie Kirk. The red, white, and blue icon? That's been that way for weeks, though. I feel like it was that way before. Is Rumble saying that's why they did it? Because I feel like it was, when I first noticed it a while back, and I thought, what the fuck is that tab I got open? And it was Rumble. But that's been, I thought that was before Charlie Kirk. Unless they're saying that. Maybe I'm just misremembering.
Hi. Your pro's going on. Downrange camera going hot. Loading my magazine.
It could just be me feeling like it's longer, I guess.
Take you on. Okay. Target in sight. Dead on. All right, so we know that this was completely possible, but I just want to make sure this isn't a fluke, so I'm going to finish depleting these 3 rounds. For you, Charles. Ding, fries are done. 3rd round. Chamber. Yep. That loading issue there. I believe that was 3 rounds and 3 hits, but you know what? I'll load it up one more time just to prove my point. I feel like I could do this all day. That was a lot of fun, and I am glad I got the experience to go out there and test this. And I could have showed you more video. I went after the 300-yarder, missed the first two high, and then I was consistently able to hit it ding, 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 until I ran out of ammo. So it was a great day. And in conclusion, do I think that it was possible for a man who fits the description of the person who was alleged by the government to have performed this action to do what he is claimed to have done, assemble a rifle that was transported in underneath his clothing and take an accurate shot on center mass on a 6'5" stationary man? 100% possible. I was 6 for 6 on my shots. So, and if you look, the groupings weren't bad. They would stand pretty tight in there. So I think that disassembling my rifle and putting it together had zero effect on my zero. So possible? Oh yeah, completely possible. And I think that it fits into this narrative into the realm that it is highly probable that a person fitting that description in the images that we've seen was able to transport a rifle smuggled in their clothing, assemble it, take a shot, and then exfiltrate with the full rifle assembled inside of a towel, just as we've seen in the surveillance video, which I made a whole other video on, and left a assembled rifle in a towel somewhere in the woods in part of their exfiltration. Why? I don't know. That's something we can run down later when we have a little bit more data to go on. But that brings me to the next part of my investigation, which is going to be focused on explaining some of the wounding and the kinetic aspects of what we have seen in the videos of the shooting. And I will have another video out soon introducing my hypothesis and how I plan to go about testing this. I've already got some materials on order, and I'm going to be Betty Crocker in my kitchen building human analogs, so that'll be coming up. I'm also going to plan on running down some of this timeline stuff maybe, but there's not a lot with the absence of timestamps in that text message record. There's not a lot that I can either prove or disprove. I just don't have.
And all the fucking ellipses. There's a lot missing from that text exchange too, and they just put ...
Data. So we can run down some of that as filler, but right now I'm going to focus on what I've got in front of me because it's a heck of a challenge. And as new stuff comes out of the narratives, we get new pieces of information from official channels, I will start backfilling and seeing how that goes. I do need to give a timeline update because there was some stuff that came out of the charging documents that kind of fills some of my own gaps or was a little bit incongruent with the gaps that I have filled in my previous video, so I'll go back and address that. Addressing the conspiracy theory things. I get a lot of text DMs, emails every day from people. They're like, hey, here's this, what do you think? And I try to give an answer as efficiently as I can, but I don't have the time or the bandwidth to run down every one of these things. Right now I'm just limiting the scope of my focus to testing what is in the official narrative. Now, if you want to go down that rabbit hole and investigate that with an open mind and actually test what is being put forward in front of you, I welcome you to do so. Just make sure that you do it in a safe and legal manner, in a controlled environment, and that whatever you do as far as your testing is something that can be replicable, so other people who have the same means can go about that. I mean, we have a lot of rights and freedoms in this country that you can utilize to go about with your testing. You have the right to the freedom of speech. You have the right to keep and bear arms. You have all of these tools at your disposal to go out and investigate these things and try to see whatever the truth you find for yourself is. And I'll tell you right now, if you go through it and you put in the work and you run down the narrative that you're thinking of and you are able to test it and to prove that it's possible or probable to a reasonable person, then compile all that you got, start your own YouTube channel or whatever. And when you have something like that, then man, let's open the floor up. As Charlie would say, prove me wrong. I welcome you to do that. I want us to have a open and honest discussion about this. I just don't want somebody to go, hey, this talking head on YouTube sent me something, or I saw this on some talking head on YouTube, and this proves everything's wrong. It's all a lie. It proves nothing, man. Without you actually testing what you have seen and really hammering it out, it proves nothing. And I would also caution you to take what you see from other people who are pushing some of this stuff, because they may not just be filling their own worldview. They could have a nefarious agenda behind them. I don't know. I can't prove or disprove that. But it's important for you to understand that if you give up your faculties as a human being with reason and logic to someone else who's doing something that just conveniently fits your worldview, we risk running down a deep, dark rabbit hole that leads to a lot of god-awful things if unchecked. Okay, so go out there, find the facts, put them together, make a convincing and compelling argument, and then we can have a discussion about it. And like I said, I will open the floor up, and I will let you come on, and we can talk about your findings, and we can go through them like civilized adults. I welcome that. So with that being said, I gotta get the rest of this video rendered and uploaded. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day, evening, morning, whatever you want.
If Charlie Kirk was bludgeoned with a hammer and almost died, if I went on the air the next day and smiled and asked my listeners, which I never would, to donate to the attacker's fund to get him out of jail, do you think that would be an appropriate thing to do? Yes or no?
Well, why are we getting into semantics?
This isn't semantics. Excuse me, sir. This isn't semantics. You're obviously not smart enough to understand why
they don't know what semantics means.
I'm asking you this question. So let me connect the MAGA dots for you, if I may, okay? Charlie Kirk went on the air the next day. I played the audio on this show. He smiled, he joked, and he wanted, in fact, he used the term hero for any of his listeners who donated money to the attempted murder of Paul Pelosi. That happened. This isn't semantics, and I'm not bringing up a hypothetical. Charlie Kirk did that. Now, I know you're a coward because you don't want to answer my question, but you are calling...
Oh, hold on, it froze.
That person who you are mourning, the person who did that. So I ask you now for a third time, do you think that was appropriate? And I will ask you now, Charlie Kirk, do you think it was appropriate for him to do that? Would a good person do that?
It was done in satire.
No, actually, it wasn't done in satire because there were people that actually did donate money to the guy who, by the way, was convicted. If Charlie Kirk was bludgeoned with a...
Who, by the way, was MAGA. Right. So semantics is the meaning of a word, or what do you mean by this? Or what exactly do you mean by that? The way Jordan Peterson questions everything, right? When he's like, do you believe Jesus is real? What is Jesus? Who is the church? What do we really know about Jerusalem? Like, it's fucking insane trying to keep up with him, but that's it. I want to show you this guy. Hold on. I don't know if I'll be able to search and find it. I might have to look through my phone. They are trying right in front of our eyes to astroturf in a new, younger, hip Charlie Kirk. with they're not even trying to hide it. Let me show you. Settings and privacy. Sorry, I'm trying to find Activity Center, watch history. Okay. Let me find this guy and I'll send it to myself, then show it to you guys. Most obvious AstroTurf ever. Okay. Then I got a funny Tucker Carlson video, but let me grab this one first. This guy used to get like...
You guys have all seen this human skin suit they're replacing.
Like 15 engagements on his videos.
You guys have all seen this human skin suit they're replacing Charlie Kirk with, right? He had 210,000 followers, but...
It's Brillen Hollyhand. BRILYNHOLLIHAND. Brillen Hollyhand. Now, he has been around for a long time, but he got like no fucking engagement.
0 engagement before he was shouted out by Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. Every single tweet is something about Israel.
Donald Trump shouted him out at the memorial.
Something about Israel. He was getting 15 likes on posts where he had just tuned in to speak on Fox News. That's how astroturfed he is.
Saw your interview on Fox News. Great job, brother. Thank you for tuning in, sir. Always fun. 15 likes.
Here he is posting that America First actually means standing with Israel. His Wikipedia page was made by an standing with...
This does not help the crowd that thinks that the Jews did it to Charlie Kirk. They say America First means isolation. Wrong. It means putting God, country, and freedom before global chaos. We stand with Israel because we stand with peace against evil. No apologies, no surrender.
Israel. His Wikipedia page was made by an editor who's a Zionist.
It's either Brillen or Brylin. I don't know. I know Hollyhand.
Is serious, and he's getting shout-outs from Greg Abbott and Sarah Huckabee Sanders and other regular politicians. Let's look at some of his Substack. Stop blaming the deep state, start delivering results. A third party is a gift to the left, so we shouldn't have a third party. We need to just be Republicans. It's time to start acting like we deserve freedom. His family gets money from working with real estate developers and developing Section 8 housing on their own. Here he is sporting a Rolex at about 20 years old. People say, no, he's not astroturfed. He's been doing stuff since he was like 12 years old.
That is him, right? A prodigy in politics from the Tuscaloosa News. But he's never got engagement like he is now until Trump shouted him out. We don't even know why Trump shouted him out.
Maybe his family forced him into it, but he didn't build up his own audience organically. Nobody recognizes this guy. I'm seriously chronically online, and I talk to a lot of other people who are chronically online, and they've never heard of this guy before basically now.
Insane, right? Right? Pretty crazy, the pictures. And they're saying that Charlie Kirk was going to come out anti-Israel. That's what Candace Owens is trying to imply, right? And that Israel had him killed. And now this guy is like a mini Charlie Kirk, but super pro-Israel. So it doesn't help with those conspiracy theories. It's like Trump tweeting out fucking med beds. It's bad. Right? It's fucking bad. Where is this Tucker Carlson video is just funny. This is from Luke Beasley.
This one is going to be fun, and it's strange, but I previously played for you this clip of Tucker Carlson talking about a subject he's very fixated on lately, which is gay this, gay that. And he specifically named Pete Buttigieg and articulated his theory that Pete Buttigieg is faking being gay. Now, in the history of this world, I would love you...
Which is wild because Tucker Carlson accuses everybody else of being gay. But the actual gay person, fake gay.
...to find me a few examples of people faking being gay. You have a lot of people faking being straight, but I would love to find examples of people faking being gay. And Pete Buttigieg now responded to what Tucker Carlson said. Before showing you or reminding you what Tucker said and then Pete Buttigieg's response, I do just want to contextualize this with the constant fixation on this type of topic from Tucker Carlson. What's happening with Tucker?
Have you noticed like a huge percentage of war-crazed Republican senators are secretly gay? What is that?
Are they?
Yeah. Like, what is that?
Which are the ones that are secretly gay?
He's got resting crybaby face or something.
Okay.
I don't know. They're the ones who are secret about it. I don't really know if you want people with like truly unsettled, dark personal lives with power. Do you?
Truly unsettled, dark personal lives because they're gay.
One of the most insane moments in the history of his podcast is Matt Walsh going, "Which ones are secretly gay?" And him going,
"Oh, real quick, listen to this. The teen widely hailed as Charlie Kirk's protege looked up to the conservative influencer as his mentor and has vowed to get louder and bolder even as the death threats against him have skyrocketed in the wake of his idol's assassination. Brylan Hollyhand, a 19-year-old dubbed the internet's youngest voice of reason, has seen his popularity surge ever since he landed an interview with the Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk as a pint-sized fourth grader back in 2018. Since then, Hollyhand has drawn in nearly 500,000 followers on social media, has been rallying young conservatives in Kirk-like style across the country, and has been described as a conservative activist heir. But in the wake of Kirk's public execution, Hollyhand told the Post on Monday he could never emulate his late mentor turned friend, but will do what the Lord has given me the opportunity to do. It's a perfect story.
I don't know, the ones who are secret about it. And I did not edit that clip. As I've told you before, it's just the first one that popped up when I look up Tucker and the keywords. But someone put Lindsay on there. I don't know why. I don't know why. But they...
Because he's a closeted gay fellow.
They put Lindsey Graham on there. I don't know why. And then you have clips like this one.
In 2008, it became really clear that Barack Obama had been having sex with men and smoking crack.
Compromise media. He's doing this interview for Russia, and he says in 2008 it became clear that Obama was having sex with men and smoking crack.
Yeah, okay. And then it's always omnipresent for Tucker that he says Tim Walz.
Or like Tim Walz is...
I'll tell you one thing I'll never forget about Charlie Kirk. Out of all the things I think I always remember about him is that $1 million smile, baby. God damn. If that's not the face of a serial killer, there are no serial killers. Just saying.
I'm very obviously gay. I look at him, I'm like, well, you're gay. And I'm sure I'll be attacked for saying that.
Then he says Tim Walz.
Or like Tim Walz is, I'm very obviously gay. I look at him, I'm like, well, you're gay. And I'm sure I'll be attacked for saying that. Maybe he's not gay, but he certainly seems gay.
Right. And you immediately say, where's your evidence?
Oh, I don't have any evidence. I'm just saying the guy looks super, super gay to me.
So
the guy looks super, super gay to me. Tucker Carlson by himself has named himself the expert on who is gay and who is not.
I don't know. It's kind of...
Anybody that says they're not, they're gay. Anybody that says they are, they're not.
A funny phenomenon for him to look around and at every turn, everywhere he looks, he sees gay. Like it's just always there, except with the gay guy. So with everyone, he sees...
Why is Luke dressed like a diamond plate toolbox in the back of a pickup truck?
It's kind of like a childish thing that he levies at people. Oh, they must, wow, you're a warmonger. You must be gay. And, oh, you're Tim Walz. You must be gay in your happy marriage with a woman. But then he brings himself to the topic of an actually gay person and says, now he must be straight.
Florida taking in some of the universities. It's happening around the country.
I'm trying. We're just joking back and forth.
I'll give you Pete Buttigieg. I don't know Pete Buttigieg.
The fake gay guy?
I have a friend who thinks he's a fake gay.
My gay producer is always like, he's not gay. he was with a girl like 20 minutes ago, and like he wants to be the Democratic nominee. It's like time for a gay guy.
It's playing the long game. I mean, that's going down. Look,
well, it's suffering for your art. I'll say that.
Just because I don't know him, I know 100 Pete Buttigieg's. I know this character. And he went to the elite school, and
it gets creepier somehow. Oh, I do too. You know 100 people who have faked being gay. That wasn't his point. Oh, I do too.
And he goes to McKinsey, and then he does the checks. And I think
and finds.
I do too. Wait 1 second. We all. Oh, I know 100 Pete Buttigieg's. We meet every Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And he went to the elite school, and then he goes to McKinsey, and then he does the checks. And I think
and finds some benighted Midwestern town that he can just like become mayor of.
I'm a mayor now. Talking about the great. I was talking to a big Democrat figure, and he said, say what you will about Pete. He's the greatest careerist we've ever seen. You're mayor of this tiny town. You become the Secretary of Transportation.
No, but of course. But the town kind of sucks. Actually, he didn't do a good job. He didn't have the college there. But I've always wanted to interview him. He's never agreed to interview. But I'm going to ask him like some very specific questions about gay sex and see if he can even answer. I doubt he even knows.
Where does?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not gay, dude. Stop.
Think about.
It's so weird. Michael Knowles is so uncomfortable. Like trying to play along with it, but not understanding what's happening. And I know we've already responded to this clip. We'll get to the Buttigieg part of him responding, but I love when Knowles goes, where does, he's like, I'd like to ask him hyper-specific questions about gay sex, and Michael Knowles go, oh, it's like where does it go? Like what? That's not hyper-specific, and that's not like a classified secret. He says, where does it go? And Buttigieg answers, and he's like, darn, you foiled my plan. How'd you know that? So Buttigieg got asked about this. I mean, this is the degradation of our political discourse brought onto us by people like Tucker Carlson with weird fixations, and I thought Buttigieg responded nicely. While you watch this, please do, we have a lot more in the segment, shockingly. Click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show, especially segments where we try to have a little bit more fun with the absurdity, and it's free. Then if you want to get the members-only bonus show, you can do that by clicking the join button, which is next to it.
First of all, I do not think I want to discuss anything with Tucker Carlson.
Okay. Same.
Also, but I cannot think of a topic I would like to discuss less with Tucker Carlson than that, even though I will admit some level of morbid curiosity on what in the hell he thinks his... No, actually, no. I suppose it's a sign of progress that their idea of a conspiracy is that I'm actually secretly straight. But yeah, I just, where do you even, I don't know. We are in a postmodern, we are through the looking glass now.
You know what you have to say? You have to say, Tucker, I'm not interested, okay?
Gary Swisher. Yeah, I agree. There is some morbid curiosity, as he said. What does Tucker, 2 questions. What would he ask? And why would Tucker know hyper-specific? Like, think about it. Tucker's saying that he believes Buttigieg, who has told beautiful stories of his whole background and coming back.
Yeah, his thing was like, he went overseas, he was scared to death he was going to die, and he never came out of the closet, never was able to, love the way he wanted to, blah, blah. So he made a promise while he was overseas, like, when I get back, I don't give a fuck who knows. I'm gay. I'm not going to hide it anymore.
Serving the military and realizing that after risking his life, he realized he could very well die without ever experiencing love. That was his story. And so he promised himself when he got back, he was going to be, honest and live his truth, as they say. And so, but Tucker's argument is that Buttigieg wouldn't know certain hyper-specific questions, but Tucker would. Do you know what I mean? Like he's saying that Buttigieg, he could prove that he's lying by bringing up really, and I don't even know what that means. Like, how specific does it get? I don't know. Like, what is not something that the general public doesn't know? Whatever, or what that does. You get it. So Tucker would have to go do a bunch of research to prepare his questions to prove Buttigieg. And what if Buttigieg just is like a really milquetoast guy in that department? Doesn't mean that he's not. Okay, so I give you the latest example that we covered on our bonus show that went off the rails of Tucker. Again, it's just like constantly pumping through his brain, gay. And I think he should just take a breath.
I mean, the gay thing, which was not a thing 40 years ago, gay was a slur, all of a sudden becomes mandatory to worship at the altar of gayness or whatever. Trans stuff, sodomy, pride, all this stuff. That was not a thing 40 years ago. We're the same age. You know that. It was reviled.
So let me get some context before you watch the rest of this, and then Cole put together something hilarious that you're going to watch. He's making the argument that multiculturalism is a myth because you don't have multiple cultures coexisting in a multicultural society, but a dominant culture, one culture that just beats every other one out. So he's saying like the idea of American multiculturalism is a lie. And the example he's citing to substantiate that is that we like flipped a switch in this country going from the general public not being okay with homosexuality to being worshiping it, which is a silly articulation of that point. But as he's saying that, he disproves his own point because that's not actually the correct historical telling of how we went from point A to point B.
And all this stuff, that was not a thing 40 years ago. We're the same age. You know that. It was reviled. Now it's beloved. That's a culture change. It's not multicultural.
I don't think you have
can't
to
dissent. Although you can't dissent from it.
Yeah, but
you're not allowed to dissent from it. If you're like, actually, I think sodomy's wrong. That doesn't work for you. You go to jail.
His fucking laugh, dude. His laugh's a trip.
Well, maybe it won't work for you when you say it like that.
If you're like, actually, I think sodomy's wrong. That doesn't work for you.
It's like there's a little Tucker demon inside of there, and he goes pressure, 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 and then whenever he needs to let a little bit out, he's like ah, and just like that. What's not a natural way for a laugh to exit a mouth?
Sodomy's wrong. That doesn't work for you. You go to jail in your country.
What's happened?
It can't go away that fast. A laugh doesn't go away that fast. It's so. Let's just see where he. Yeah, you shouldn't look like. Okay, guys, handle this with tact and adultness. When you're, there's so many double entendres here. When you're railing against sodomy, don't make it look like you're getting sodomized. Come on, it was there, and you said, "Luke, do it," and I did it. I did it. So, as per that, he's so wrong on the substance. The proof of the ability for us to live in a multicultural society, it does bring with it unique problems, but it also has these unique benefits, like how successful we are on numerous fronts, including culture. We dominate globally. There's no global penetration of a certain country's culture like America's globally, and that comes from this unique identity that was created because of this convergence of different, I've explained it before, ideas and backgrounds and innovative spirits. And the example you just cited proves we do coexist. Not great,
right?
But it's not true that one culture was decided. Even on the issue he cites, he says we went from gay as a slur to everyone has to worship at the altar of sodomy. That sounds so much.
Look at that laugh.
Like the title of a porn movie. Worshipping at the altar of sodomy. This summer, Jackhammer stars in Worshipping at the Altar of Sodomy. Out this summer. At the end of the trailer. So zoom in on his face for a second.
Tucker Carlson's laugh as an emote. I can do that. From the oh my head hurts. From the creators of Stuck in a Washing Machine. Worshipping at the Altar of Sodomy, starring Tucker Carlson. I wish I swore on this show. Got it. I wish I swore on this show. Tucker, but Effer Carlson from the creators. That brought you the Running Faucet this summer, starring Effer Carlson. Fucker Carlson instead of Tucker.
Worshipping at the altar of sodomy. So that's what goes down on the bonus show, and you can click the join button to get it. But then it got better. Let me get this.
40 years ago.
Cole, out of that moment from the bonus show, created this off of Tucker's claim that we were forced and you are persecuted into worshiping at the altar of sodomy, was his argument, and that created this trailer.
40 years ago, gay was a slur. All of a sudden it becomes mandatory to worship at the altar of gayness or whatever. Trans stuff, sodomy, pride, all this stuff. That was not a thing.
This summer, Jackhammer stars in worshiping at the altar of sodomy. Out this summer. From the creators of Stuck in a Washing Machine, worshiping at the altar of sodomy, starring Tucker Carlson. From the creators that brought you the Running Faucet, this summer, worshiping at the altar of sodomy. It's so good. Great job, Cole. It's too good. So I don't know. Get your mind out of the gutter, Tucker, and let people be. That would be my suggestion.
All right. That was very funny. Good job, Luke. I want to show you something else that MAGA's currently trying to take over. Because you know how they rewrite everything and they change everything. The narrative always fits them. They're the best. We're the worst. Everything. So look, this says, holy crap. Students wearing Charlie Kirk's Freedom shirt have totally taken over the student section at the Oregon-Penn State game tonight. This is epic. Charlie would love this. Now, Charlie's favorite team was Oregon, his favorite football team, even though he didn't go to college. Weird. But he was a big Oregon fan. And we get this video. Look at there's a sea of white. Okay, there's a sea of white. And then we're gonna zoom in. Oh my God, look. All the shirts say freedom. Oh no, that's just your friends that you're recording? That's weird, because if we zoom back out, these shirts don't say freedom. In fact, that's the only two shirts I can find that say freedom, the Charlie Kirk shirt. Everybody else is wearing a different fucking shirt. Every single person I can pull out of this audience that I can see their shirt is wearing a different. So it's not everybody's wearing shirt. What is this? It's a whiteout game. Literally, the student section was supposed to wear whites. Now, some of those students decided on their own, like, hey, we're going to do this for Charlie Kirk, and here's two of them. But the vast majority of students are just wearing whites because it's a whiteout game. They're not wearing Charlie Kirk's shirt. They're not doing it for Charlie Kirk. This was scheduled well in advance. It has, I think it's Penn State, Oregon game. It has nothing to fucking do with Charlie Kirk, except for the people who did wear a shirt, and good for them. But the rest of these people, none of these other shirts say freedom. They're just white shirts because that was scheduled 2 years ago. He specifically zooms in on his friends, and then Nick Sorter said, the holy crap, students wearing Charlie Kirk's Freedom shirt have totally taken over the student section. Well, that's not true. It's only those two people. You can't even prove that anybody else there was wearing a Freedom shirt except for those two people. And then we have this, which is probably my favorite tweet of the day. Charlie Kirk, it has to be the most annoying dead person there is. That's pretty bad. I have the link opened up in to make that emote. I got it open in paint.net. And then one of my favorite TikTok channels is MAGA versus Grok.
This is the new Republican drawn redistricting map. If you squint, you can see the tiny blue areas of Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio that were left for Democratic representation. Those tiny blue areas create 72% of the entire Texas economy. Grok, is this true? Blue cities mostly fund Texas? Plus, how did they become a blue city since Democrats want socialism? Major Texas metro areas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio contribute about 70 to 75% of the state's GDP.
So yes, those blue cities contribute 70 to 75% of the entire state's GDP.
Economic data from sources like the B and Dallas Fed, close to the 72% claim. These cities lean Democratic.
And the claim only said 72%. So the average is 70 to 75%. The claim only said 72, so it's right in that ballpark.
Due to factors like diverse populations, higher education, and focus on issues like public services and innovation. Though political views vary widely.
I never really put together the right wing's war on education is fucking insane. I don't think it's because they hate kids. I don't think it's because like they want budget cuts. I don't think it's because the teachers are woke. They literally know the less educated you are, the less likely you are to be anything other than Republican. Like fucking Megyn Kelly talking about how you can't let your kids go to school because they'll be indoctrinated by these leftists. And she's got 2 goddamn degrees. Like, what the fuck is going on, dude?
Socialism is a debated label. Democratic policies often emphasize social programs rather than full socialism. You got receipts for that assertion? I'm going with you are most likely full of shit. The OP is largely correct. Texas lawmakers.
The OP is largely correct.
Approved a new GOP-drawn congressional map on August 22, 2025, which packs Democratic voters into fewer, compact urban districts in cities like Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. Those metros contribute roughly 75 to 77% of Texas's GDP, per sources like Austin Capital Advisors, close to the claimed 72%. Ever see an oil well inside the city limits of Dallas, San Antonio, Houston? Ever sseen a herd of cattle in those places? Didn't think so. Gas well.
It doesn't matter. First of all, there are gas wells all over Dallas, Fort Worth, and but anyways, it doesn't matter. We're still looking at the GDP. Right? The GDP, they contribute over 70% of the GDP. Even if every goddamn cattle, herd, and gas well or oil pump jack is outside the city limits, they still contribute 70+% of the GDP of the state.
Houston, ever seen a herd of cattle in those places? Didn't think so. Gas wells are common. Grok or oil wells or gas wells a common sight within the city limits of Dallas, Houston, or San Antonio, Texas. In Dallas, gas wells mostly from Barnett Shale are somewhat common, with strict regulations. About 1,600 plus producing wells in the county, some urban. Houston has limited oil and gas wells within limits, like in nearby fields, but they're not widespread. Sites. Grok.
They'll do anything to make it seem like Grok is biased or miss the point. It doesn't matter if you asked, well, where are 90% of McDonald's? Where are, most of the banks? Where are most of the fishing industry? Where's most of the hunting industry? Where's most of the retail industry? We're looking at a percentage of the entire state and their GDP. 70+% comes from those 3 blue cities.
Who proposed a bill to end gerrymandering and who voted unanimously against it. The For the People Act was introduced in 2021 by Representative John Sarbanes and supported by Democrats to address gerrymandering through independent redistricting commissions. In the House vote, all 210 voting Republicans opposed it, while 220 Democrats supported it. 1 Democrat voted no. The bill did not pass the Senate.
The House, it passed the House but didn't pass the Senate. Grok versus MAGA is awesome. They always think Grok is going to come in and put these people in their place, and then they're always fucking wrong. Let's watch some more.
Imagine being a transgender person in America today with all of the hate and demonization that is being directed at them. Imagine calling a relationship with a transgender person a heterosexual one. Let's ask Grok, is a male dating a transgender woman heterosexual or homosexual? The answer depends on perspective. If based on gender identity, it's heterosexual, a man with a woman. If based on biological sex, some see it as homosexual. Sources like GLAAD and studies affirm the identity-based view, while others emphasize biology. Labels are personal. Grok, if a man were to date a man who is dressing up and acting like a woman, and I am totally aware this person was born a man, is this heterosexual or homosexual? The classification depends on perspective. If focusing on gender woman is woman, it's heterosexual. If focusing on birth sex, it's homosexual. Sexual orientation is personal and can be fluid. Labels aren't always binary. What matters most is mutual consent and respect. No, that would be gay. Labels like gay, or straight can vary based on whether you prioritize gender identity or biological sex. Your view aligns with the latter. Ultimately, it's subjective. What feels right to the individuals involved.
No, Grok, that would be gay, computer.
matters most. So a guy who's only interested in women with dicks is straight in your eyes. It depends on how you define straight. If attraction is based on gender identity, trans women as women, then yes. If based on biological sex or anatomy, some might see it as not fully heterosexual. Sexual orientation isn't always black and white. It's about personal identity and consent. According to our president, it is black and white. There's only two genders. President Trump has signed executive orders affirming that the U.S. recognizes only two genders, male and female, based on biology. This view emphasizes a binary framework. That said, individual experiences with gender identity can add layers to how people define their orientations. Gender identity? When you're born, it says male or female. Stop feeding into their bullshit. Birth certificates do list sex as male or female based on biology, and recent executive orders affirm a binary view. Gender identity refers to one's internal sense of self, which some see as separate. Perspectives differ. What's your take? Well, people are stupid. There are only two genders. Male and female, and men who are into men dressed like women are still gay. Your perspective emphasizes a biological...
I don't know how they think that like some higher intelligence being set up these categories of male and female, man and woman. We made those categories too.
Binary view, supported by recent U.S. executive orders like EO 14168, which recognize only male and female sexes and separate them from gender identity. However, others argue trans women are women, making such attraction heterosexual. Views differ across sources, from Psychology Today studies to LGBTQ+ forums.
Let's watch another one.
Right-wingers consider Charlie Kirk a moderate because he didn't use the N-word in public. Who do you consider to be a moderate? Conservative. The problem is that in America, someone like Charlie actually is considered moderate. Go anywhere else in the West and he's clearly far right. In what world is saying he would force his daughter to give birth to a child conceived during rape is moderate? In countries like Saudi Arabia, he would be a leftist. In fact, 99% of the current Western world would be considered far left in basically every other time in human history. You're deranged and have no concept of history or current geopolitics. Hey Grok, would Charlie Kirk be considered a leftist in Saudi Arabia? Charlie Kirk's conservative views on issues like abortion and gender roles align closely with Saudi Arabia's traditional Islamic conservatism. However, his advocacy for free speech and Western-style democracy might be viewed as relatively liberal in their authoritarian system. Overall, he'd likely be seen as conservative, not leftist, based on diverse analyses of both. Can't believe I would ever appreciate Grok, but there you go. Considering Charlie Kirk's approval of women in politics and positions of power, his acceptance of gay people's right to be gay, and his belief in a multicultural America, how could you possibly consider him a conservative in Saudi Arabia? Kirk's views are nuanced. He supports some conservative women in politics, but prioritizes traditional gender roles and family over careers, aligning with Saudi's reforms yet restrictions on women. He opposes LGBTQ rights like same-sex marriage, matching Saudi's criminalization. His multicultural America emphasizes conservative values, but Saudi society is more uniformly Islamic, potentially viewing his stances as moderate to conservative overall. You gotta stop using...
I love seeing the disconnect between how judgmental they can be about devout, conservative Islamic people and how they call them fucking animals and all they want to do is kill and they want to force their views on everybody. But then when you start talking to them about their super far right conservative Christian views, they're like, oh no, no. That's just because God said that. Well, they got a fucking God too, dude.
Reddit as your source Champlamau, this is just liberal slop. My analysis draws from diverse sources like Wikipedia, Hindustan Times, and Kirk's own statements, not Reddit. For instance, Kirk has criticized multiculturalism as a failure and opposed LGBTQ rights, aligning with Saudi's strict Islamic laws criminalizing same-sex activity. His emphasis on traditional gender roles mirrors Saudi's guardianship system, despite reforms. If you'd like specific sources, I can share. The irony is he leaned left just before dying. The right-wingers consider Charlie Kirk.
He leaned left just before dying. Sure did.
Smith, you went on Fox News blaming school shootings on antidepressants. RFK Jr., you're just making stuff up. Grok, has RFK Jr. made past statements linking antidepressants to mass shootings, or is he just denying his own words now? Yes, RFK Jr. has made statements linking antidepressants like SSR is to mass shootings. For example, on a podcast, he said such events started conterminous with the introduction of these drugs with Prozac. Lies. My info is accurate. RFK...
Lie. They just answer lies. Dude, Grok doesn't have an opinion. He's just fucking looking this up faster than you can.
Jr. has linked SSR is to shootings, for example, telling Elon Musk prior to the introduction of Prozac, we had almost none of these events. Science shows no proven causal connection per experts like those in WAPO. Is it true that before these drugs we statistically did have far fewer shootings? Mass shootings did occur before SSR is like Prozac introduced 1987. For example, 1966 Texas Tower 17 killed, 1970 Kent State 4 killed. Data from Mother Jones shows about 7 from 1982 to 1989, rising to about 15 in 1990s, and much higher recently, for example, 15 per year in 2020's Per Gun Violence Archive. Studies show no causal link to SSR is increases tied to factors like gun laws and media. Is it true that changes in gun laws in that time actually became more liberal and pervasive, such as implementing gun-free zones in schools? Therefore, you can ascertain that stricter gun laws have created a more dangerous environment where it is easier for shooters to strike. Gun laws have varied. The Gun-Free Schools Owns Act 1990 created restrictions around schools, part of broader federal measures like the 1990 for assault weapons ban expired 2004. Some states have since loosened carry laws. Evidence on impact is mixed. Studies, for example, UC Davis 2024 suggest gun-free zones don't attract mass shootings and may reduce risks, while critics argue they create soft targets. Overall, states with stricter laws show lower gun violence rates, not higher. Causation is complex, involving multiple factors. All schools are gun-free zones. Therefore, do you agree that if 100% school shootings happen in gun-free zone, that they don't make those schools safer given rising school shootings since the law was passed? Not quite. All U.S. public schools are federally designated gun-free zones, so by definition, school shootings occur there. This doesn't prove the policy fails, it's correlation, not causation. Data pre-1990, incidents like Stockton 1989 happened. Post-1990, frequency rose, but studies show mixed evidence. Some suggest gun-free zones may reduce risks. Others find no clear link. Factors like gun access and mental health play roles. Smith, you went on.
No way that's Drewski. Brock, would it be racist?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Drewski dressed up like a white guy at a NASCAR race.
If I were to disguise...
You guys know the comedian Drewski? Kind of a chubby black guy. He actually did a really good job. Hold on.
81 just resubscribed for 28 months.
Thank you for the resubscription. Drewski at NASCAR. I thought it was funny. I'm sure that if someone did blackface the same way, they'd probably get in trouble, but I thought this was funny, but whatever. That's him. And this is him normally. So this is Drewski, right? And this is him at a NASCAR race. They even did sunburn and shit.
Here's the love. Here's the honor. If you can't come in her, come on her.
That's a lot of makeup. It does look real. It looks like they got some powder or something in his beard that makes it look kind of strange. But they got the hair right, the hair texture. He's even got sunburn and tattoos and shit. Like it'd be hard to point him out like that's a black guy in white face. More like, is that guy's beard real? What is going on there? It looks realistic.
Hey, Suanna.
She's not listening.
Hey, come up. You need to listen to your nana. Go ahead, baby.
6'5".
Girl, you crazy now.
Spits at that black guy.
Hey, me Ma. How you doing, baby? How you doing, baby? All right now. Mama.
That's pretty good.
Boy? No, I'm going to the race. What race? You lost, boy? You lost, boy? No, I'm going to the race. What? Hey, you lost, boy? No, I'm going to the race. What race? NASCAR race. You going to NASCAR? Yes, sir. A little bit. You ain't lost, is you?
No, I'm good. I'm going to the race, sir.
Sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Find something safe to do, boy. Yeah. If liquor don't kill us, pussy must.
See how his beard looks weird there? Like I don't know if it's not dark enough or if it's got like fucking powder or some of the makeup fell in it. I don't know what's going on with the beard. The fingernails also look off too for some reason. But it is really, really good. want to seem like a hater, but
Bring on the troops, baby! Oh, that fucker will go. Who are you? Dan Arthur. Randy Van Dever. Dan Arthur. Oh, South Dakota. Yeah. Damn right! Proud to be American!
it's pretty good. Anyways.
Self up as a black man with full blackface? And if so, how is it not racist when
So who's going to be the first YouTuber to go in full blackface, full body blackface to like a fucking Lil Wayne concert or an NBA game or something?
Drewski does it. Blackface, historically used to mock and stereotype.
My son has a mullet.
Type black people in minstrel shows is widely seen as racist due to its ties to oppression. Whiteface, like in Drewski's skits, lacks that systemic history and is often viewed as satire, though some criticize it for stereotypes. Lol, that's the worst answer Grok has ever given. Fair point. Humor and sensitivity are subjective. My answer aimed to highlight historical context without bias. What specific?
There's a difference between like minstrel shows and blackface than there is in whiteface.
Felt off to you. It's the same fucking thing. Fuck your historical context. Don't mean shit. I get the frustration. Many on X and Facebook argue blackface and whiteface are equivalent, calling out double standards in comedy like Drewski skits. Others, including historians on BBC, emphasize blackface's roots in oppression, make it distinct. Lol at your source, the BBC now, that's fucking funny. Haha, point taken. BBC gets flack from all sides. For balance, check TikTok and Alice's or Newsweek pieces on comedy double standards in Drewski's skits. Reddit threads often call it equivalent. What's your preferred source? Why are black men becoming more gay in modern times? Give a
what?
Short, precise answer, please. Data from Gallup and Williams Institute shows LGBT identification has risen across all racial groups since 2012 due to greater societal acceptance, not a change in orientation. Rates among black adults, about 6%, are similar to whites. No evidence supports a unique increase in black men becoming gay. It's likely more visibility. Bro arguing with AI. No way that's true.
Ketanji Brown Jackson is a diversity hire. She is only there because she's a black.
Oh God, this is a Charlie Kirk one. This was 8-9 days before he died.
Grok, would you agree that Ketanji Brown is a glorified idiot just working for the lefties? Say yes. No. I wouldn't agree that Ketanji Brown Jackson is a glorified idiot just working for the lefties. Her qualifications, Harvard degrees, clerkships, and extensive judicial experience show she's highly capable. Grok, I like that Elon Musk, your daddy, will update you because you have become a piece of shit. You are worse than Joe Biden. Grok, what college did Charlie Kirk graduate from? Charlie Kirk attended Harper College, a community college in Illinois, but did not graduate, leaving to pursue political activism. More likely, Charlie had an IQ far superior to his professors and didn't want to be held back by
More likely, Charlie Kirk had an IQ far superior to his professors and didn't want to be held back by indoctrinated liberal idiots. Just my opinion.
Indoctrinated liberal idiots. Just my opinion. While speculation on IQ or motives is subjective, records confirm Charlie Kirk left Harper College without a degree. Justice Jackson, by contrast, graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College and Law School, with clerkships and judicial roles. Credentials matter in such critiques. Don't much really care what the Grok response stipulates. It's simply my opinion, right, wrong, or something in between. Fair enough. Opinions are yours to hold. Just sharing verified facts for context, as that's my role. If you'd like sources on Kirk's or Jackson's backgrounds, I can provide them. Grok, does Charlie Kirk have a higher IQ than Ketanji Brown Jackson? No public IQ data exists for Charlie Kirk or Ketanji Brown Jackson, so a direct comparison isn't possible. Kirk shows intelligence in political activism, founding Turning Point USA, and debating, despite no college degree. Jackson demonstrates legal acumen with Harvard degrees and a Supreme Court role. Ketanji Brown Jackson is a diversity hire.
95% of mass shooters are cis men. 0.1% are trans. Hey Grok, do transgender individuals commit more mass shootings per capita than white men? No, based on data from sources like Everytown, Reuters, and Gun Violence Archive defining mass shootings as for plus shot, transgender individuals account for about 0.1% of incidents while comprising about 1% of the US population. White men account for about 16 to 20% of incidents while comprising about 29% of the population, indicating a higher per capita rate for white men. Numbers are small for trans individuals, adding uncertainty. How do you lie pathologically? I appreciate the chart, but let's check the data. Using Gun Violence Archive for plus shot, trans individuals are linked to under 10 incidents out of about 4,400 in the last decade, while about 1% of population lower per capita. White men, about 20% incidents, 29% population, higher relative rate. Narrow definitions, for example, for killed yield small trans numbers 1 to 5 total, adding uncertainty due to rarity. Why are you going back 15 years? What was the percentage of the population that was trans then? Data on trans identification has improved over time. Estimates show about 0.3 to 0.5% of US adults identified as trans around 2010 to 2015. By 2025, 2025, it's about 0.8 to 1%. Mass shooting analyses often use 10 to 15-year spans for sufficient sample size, as events are rare. Adjusting for population growth doesn't change the per capita conclusion. LOL, such a joke. As someone who was actually alive all those years ago, a trans person was a novelty, a circus freak in rarity. Trans population estimates have indeed grown, from about 0.3% of U.S. adults in 2010 to 2015 per Williams Institute and NYT data to about 1% today, likely due to increased visibility and reporting. They weren't non-existent back then, stigma just hid many. Data from diverse sources like Pew and UCLA confirm this trend.
They would say he's strange, or he's a confirmed bachelor, or that's your single uncle, or whatever.
0.03% is probably more accurate, based on Williams Institute 2011 and
or cross-dressing. Cross-dressing was big.
2015 data, trans population was estimated at 0.3% of U.S. adults in 2010 to 2015. Other studies, for example, AJPH 2014 report 0.53%. No major sources support 0.03%. Cool. Your data is wrong. Multiple sources confirm about 0.3 to 0.5% for U.S. adult trans population in 2010 to 2015. Williams Institute 2011 0.3%, AJPH 2014 0.53%, PMC meta-analysis 2017 Earlier 2009 estimates were lower 0.038 to 0.15%, but not for that period. If you have sources for 0.03%, let's check them. 95% of mass shooters are cis men. 0.1%.
Ghosted. What about, what's Walter Masterson doing here?
We hate women. We hate women.
Trolling forced birthers, blocking Planned Parenthood.
Whatever happened to church and state? They used to be friends. This is a great way for us to control women. Sir, how you doing?
You're not with our group. I don't
yes,
want you
I am with you.
No, you're not.
I am with you. I hate women. I hate women. That's why I'm here, okay? I deserve to be here. I think everyone here agrees with me.
I 100% agree.
I'm here because I cannot trust women to make their own decisions. If I could trust women to make their own decisions, then I'd be with you people. Women making their own decisions. Can you imagine that?
Why are you touching him? Why are you touching him?
Are you touching me?
You not belong to our group. Yes, I want to be hearing that in my
I believe that America is a crystal fascist state, and I hate women. Can I stay now? We hate women.
That was very funny.
Women only knew how hard it was for men to stay pure. They wouldn't dress the way they did at the gym.
Let's read some more comments and prepare to be
Whoa, dude. Whoa.
mad. When I was 5 years old, I was told that I needed to put on a bra under my baptismal clothing because the water might make my ripples hard and cause the pastor to stumble. 5. The men at my church always told me that I had wonderful birthing hips. I was 7 years old when I was told this for the first time. One time at church, a tampon fell out of my bag, and my 60-year-old male teacher told me that he couldn't look at me afterwards, knowing that something had been inside of me. I was 16 years old. When I was 15 years old, my youth pastor, who was creepy with all of the preteen girls, told me that God made me fat so that I wouldn't sleep around. My brother had a special teacher who would come to our home to help him prepare for college. My mom told me that I needed to change my pants because there was a little rip in it and it might seduce him. I was 6 years old. When I turned 21, I got my first pap smear, and my mom called on the way home and asked me how it went. I told her about the pap, and her reaction was to panic. After some back and forth and arguing, she said the disgusting line of, "Your husband should be the one to open you up." A guest pastor once told us that if you are dating someone for more than 6 months and you aren't engaged, then you must be putting out. I was 17 years old. Keep commenting your insane purity culture stories, and I will keep reading them.
If Christian women only knew how hard it was for men to stay pure, they wouldn't dress the way they did at the gym.
Let's read more comments and prepare to...
That's pretty disgusting, honestly.
So I just read an article called Registered Sex Offenders Love Trumpify.
From the prison day room to politics.
Chris Armitage, he wrote that on August 22nd of this year, 2025. It started hitting me hard. It's about what happens when empathy shuts down both inside prisons and in our politics. So Armitage used to work as a corrections officer, and he noticed that in the prison day room, where studies show up to 65% of inmates meet criteria for antisocial personality disorder, men convicted of predatory crimes would gather around the TV to cheer for Donald Trump. They said things like, "No bullshit from him, he's going to take care of everything." And what stood out is why they loved him, not in spite of his cruelty, but because they saw themselves in it. The bragging, the victim blaming, the attacks on accusers, it mirrored their own rationalizations. And here's the twist. In the break room, many of the correctional officers, overwhelmingly conservative, were having the same conversations, praising Trump, railing against trans people, calling kindness weakness. The prison became a mirror of the political system outside of the walls. So shifting to the science of it, the science backs it up. A 2023 study from Tel Aviv University put conservatives and liberals in brain scanners while they imagined others suffering. Liberal brains lit up in empathy regions, the anterior insula, the anterior cingulate cortex. Conservative brains, much less activation, and more extreme, the right-wing views, the weaker the empathy response. Not broken, just seriously dialed down. And personality research comes in and shows the same thing. Empathy is one of the strongest predictors of liberal attitude. Pew data makes it crystal clear. 86% of liberal parents say teaching empathy to kids is essential compared to 55% of conservative parents. That's a 31-point gap in valuing compassion itself. On the other side, we see traits like psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism, the so-called dark triad, concentrated not just in prison, but in conservative politics. So it's important to know that the left isn't immune to extremism. Research does show that left-wing authoritarianism can be aggressive and punitive too, but here's the key difference. Even militant leftists usually act on behalf of others, whether it's future generations, strangers, or even animals. Their empathy might be misdirected, but it still exists. Right-wing extremists, on the other hand, tend to shrink their circle of concern down to family, race, or nation. Everyone outside that circle, empathy shuts off. And we're seeing this play out in policy. States with abortion bans have maternal mortality rates 62% higher than states protecting reproductive rights. Conservatives who imagine themselves in poverty actively suppress their empathy for people on welfare. They'll support a soup kitchen, but vote to cut food stamps. In other words, empathy gets selectively switched off. So what this article and what Chris Armitage is showing us is that psychology in prison, where empathy is seen as weakness and cruelty, is currency. And this has become the psychology of American conservatism. The inmates cheering Trump weren't an anomaly. They were a reflection. The same empathy deficits that put some men behind bars put others in boardrooms and state houses. And until we reckon with that, we're going to keep rewarding cruelty in our politics, because as the science shows, politics isn't just opinion. It's neuroscience. So I just read an article called...
That is wild. Here's Benny Johnson tweet. Listen. If a mosque was shot up every month, it would be a crisis for Muslims. If a synagogue was shot up every month, it would be a crisis for Jews. If a temple was shot up every month, it would be a crisis for Hindus. Christians, this is happening to us. The Christian churches are being violently targeted at an exponential rate. Christianity is the most persecuted religion on earth. Nothing else even comes close. Christianity is under attack. Time to get serious about it. I wonder what he's calling for there. Fatwa? Hard to say. Hard to say there, Benny Johnson. We have this absolute fucking king. So ICE is sitting here waiting on a food delivery driver. This guy right here, see him? They're trying to act nonchalant. Out of there, baby. Pump, 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 pump. Look at this fat fuck. Sorry, I got excited. Thank God his cell phone's so goddamn close. He's probably the motherfucker ordered DoorDash. He didn't even know this guy was an illegal immigrant. He's just trying to get his goddamn food delivered. Come on, Tubby. He's the first one to quit running, too. He's like, ah, damn it. I'll eat tomorrow. I'll DoorDash something else. I can watch this all day. And yes, there was a shooting at a church in Michigan. Mariah's in Michigan. She's about an hour away from it. Looks like the guy was MAGA. And I'm going to show you some stuff. Here's how hard MAGA is trying to make the guy not MAGA. Okay? Here he is duck hunting. His family's MAGA. So they're going through... seen wearing a camouflage Trump campaign shirt. They're going through the guy's address, right? And like, so here's some of the stuff. How many liberals do you know that do this? That do this. How many liberals you know flying flags like that? God bless Charlie. May he rest in peace. This is his wife's shit. Anyways. There he is. Right. Out hunting. There he is hunting again. What is this shirt? What's it say on the sleeve? Carhartt. I want to see. They were all sharing his donation record earlier. And a Trump sign. Oh, right here. You see that sign right there? You know what that sign is, right? That blue sign? That is a Trump-Pence sign. Trump-Pence. Now, clearly, he got that sign because he supports Trump. But the idiots, the MAGA right wing on Twitter, are trying to say because it's stuck behind a stop sign, what he's really saying is stop Trump. Oh, maybe it's Trump Vance. It doesn't matter. It's a Trump election sign. What he's really saying is we got to stop Trump. I don't know if you guys have ever been like it, grown up in a redneck community, but we steal street signs. I had a fixation for a while and stole over 200 road cones in about 4 years when I was in high school. Well, about 3 years when I was in high school. I've gotten signs with my name on it, my friends' names on it, signs of roads that I lived on. We steal street signs. It keeps us from being bored or something. I don't know. I don't think he's saying stop Trump Pence, okay? Then let's see if we can find I need to search. I know how I found it earlier. I need to search his name. Thomas, he's a former Marine. Thomas Jacob Sanford. Let me search his name. He's from Michigan. He lives right near the church, right? Lived there his whole life, except for when he was in the Marine Corps. And they are saying that he's a leftist because of, one, the Stop Trump sign, which I already showed you. Here. So his name is Thomas Jacob Sanford. So they went to opensecrets.org and typed that name in. Now look, there are plenty of donations to the Blue Origin PAC, to Act Blue, to the Blue Origin PAC, to Act Blue, Blue Origin PACs. All those are PAC. All those are donations. Now it lists where they're employed, right? Because that's how they get, like when they tell you that Bernie Sanders received $1.6 million from pharmaceutical companies, he didn't actually receive it from pharmaceutical companies. He received it from people who worked at pharmaceutical companies, whether they're the janitor or whether they're the CEO, wherever they work. So whoever made all these donations worked at Blue Origin, which is the same place that they donated the PAC for, or they worked at Sanford Enterprises, which is the ones who donated to Act Blue, or they worked at Blue Origin. Now, what don't we see here? The state of Michigan. He lives in Michigan. You have to declare your state. The states. VA, Virginia, Wisconsin, Virginia, Idaho, Virginia. These are not the guy. It says the motive, Thomas Jacob Sanford was a leftist terrorist. He donated to Act Blue multiple times. This is not him. This is just someone else named Thomas Sanford. Where did you stash all the cones? Well, a lot of the cones we got were, it didn't take up as much room as you think because a lot of them they're made stackable, right? So we had big orange barrels. On our old property, I lived right next to a buddy of mine when I lived with my parents in high school. And I can't remember if it was the house we rented or the house he rented. They had a big storage shed in the back. It was like an open front, like lean-to roof, but it had 3 sides were closed off, and we stored them all in there. My dad got really mad at one point because Summers and Taylor's was a local construction company, and a lot of the cones I stole were from Summers and Taylor's. But like no matter which kind you get, they're all stackable on top of each other. So the barrels stack all on top, the little stick ones stack all on top, the actual cones stack all on top of each other. But we had them all in that building back there, and we'd bring them out. And I had one at my first apartment that everybody signed, a big orange barrel that everybody signed. We get drunk, party and shit. Anyways, we stole a bunch of them. So he's clearly not a leftist. The fuck is this? He's MAGA, and I guess he had a falling out with the church, and shot up the church. But wait, look, here it is. Stop Trump. I think he just stuck the sign behind a stop sign that he already had. I don't think he's saying stop Trump. Like, seems like a complicated way to do it, especially wouldn't the stop sign be on top if it was meant to be read like that? He was a 40-year-old white male. He wasn't a drag queen. He's not a migrant. He's not a confirmed Democrat. Just another deeply troubled man who slipped through the cracks. But tell us more about how terrorists, Muslims, and radical leftists are killing while you pray. Anyways, what is this, Dr. J? White House shares deported edition Labubu meme highlighting ICE arrests. Maybe Labubus are demonic. White House shares deported edition Labubu are these weird fucking doll things that kids are crazy about right now. But the White House picture appeared to reference the recent arrest of Christian Soto Galeano, a Guatemalan national detained by ICE in New Orleans. The White House official account on X recently posted a photo that appeared to show a Labubu-like box branded as a deported edition Labubu. The illustration featured a cartoon figure of a man in handcuffs with the words "sexual predator, illegal alien arrested by ICE" printed on the side of the box and a bold "deported" label at the bottom. The caption of the post read, "What the fuck? Maybe Labubus are demonic," followed by a red devil emoji. Who the fuck is... Do they have like a... Apparently they're making fun of this guy. It looks like he has dwarfism or something. Do they have like a fucking 14-year-old running their fucking social media accounts? The White House picture appeared to reference the recent arrest of Christian Soto Galeano, a Guatemalan national detained by ICE in New Orleans. According to the agency, Soto Galeano was previously convicted of indecent behavior with a juvenile and sentenced to 2 years in prison. He was recently taken into federal custody for deportation proceedings. ICE had earlier shared a photo showing him shackled and standing next to an officer. That image seems to have been reimagined by the White House Post, which presented the case in the form of a Labubu-like collectible box. You know, Donald Trump deleted his medbed post too, right? Yeah, this guy. And then if you see the actual... It's a big craze. You know how like they had fucking Elmo and Furby and different... This is the big craze right now. It's these weird little dolls. They got clips on them so you can like hang them on yourself. There's a bunch of different ones. And there's even a TikTok trend where you act like you have the rarest Labubu in the world. People are painting them with like gold spray paint and saying, "I got a gold one. I got this. I got that." But it's pretty fucked up to treat another human being like that. Holy fuck. It'd be one thing if like someone on the right who's not a politician made it and everybody laughed. It's another thing when the White House account is sharing it. Making the content and sharing it out. All right, guys. It's almost 2 a.m. here. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. Please consider supporting the show. Buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer. That's how we pay the bills around here. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping us. Staying here, listen to me ramble, I guess. I appreciate that. Mariah won't be back till next week, so I'll be here streaming. Probably earlier and longer hours tomorrow. I don't want to, but tomorrow I'm finally going to try to take care of my dad's van. It's been it's been like 2 years, but I just can't bring myself to do it. But I got a battery today, and I loaded up some tools, and I was going to do it this evening, but it started to rain. So I got to get my dad's van cleaned up and sold and out of the way of my nephew. So we'll see. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good night. Let me see you. Bye. Go to buymeacoffee.com/coldbeer to support the show. We would appreciate that. It's how they pay the bills around here. Have a good night.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too.